Chapter 525. This aura, this aura. How could he, a mere human celestial, possess such an aura? How did he comprehend it? How did he do it? The Infinity Patriarch's heart was in turmoil. Chen Hao's sudden change had a greater impact on the Infinity Patriarch than the astonishing combat capability he had shown in the 200 battles. The other cultivators present, including Heavenly Master Yuanru, could not see it. However, the Infinity Ancestor could see through it. The reason was very simple. It was because the Infinity Ancestor had only found the direction of his own great Tao countless years after he had reached the peak of the late-stage Almighty Immortal Realm. This was also the real reason why the Infinity Ancestor had given up all his 5 great inheritances 10,000 years ago and entered a state of seclusion. It was destined to be difficult for him to make this choice. Because the Infinity Patriarch was different from the current Chen Hao. For example, the current Chen Hao was still an unpolished jade. Comprehending this state did not have much impact on him at all. But the Infinity Patriarch was a beautifully carved jade. If he wanted to enter this state, he had to break and rebuild. What did that mean? It meant that the Infinity Patriarch had to seal his cultivation for real. To be exact, he had to destroy his cultivation. That was the only way to make further progress. 10,000 years ago, when he made this decision, the Limitless Ancestor had predicted that the Limitless Star would be in danger if he chose this path. After all, he was the support of the Limitless Star. Without his powerful force, the Limitless Star would lose its position. However, he was full of confidence at that time. He thought that as long as he kept this secret, he would be able to become a stronger existence without being discovered. But he did not expect that after 10,000 years, his strength had not recovered to the peak state of Daluo Jingxian, let alone break through the shackles of Daluo Jingxian. What was worse was that he had been absent from the meetings of the top cultivators of the Asianing planet several times. Under the deliberate urging and even coercion of some people, concluded that he was trapped in a dangerous situation. That was why the Wuji star was in such a precarious situation. Now, Chen Hao, who was only at the human celestial stage, was emitting this kind of aura. Although it was very weak, the Infinity Patriarch could still sense it clearly. This was the aura that could only be possessed by those who had been enlightened. It was an aura that couldn't be described with words. It could only be obtained through one's own comprehension. Qi. Lose. Chen Hao, who was in an ethereal state, suddenly flicked his sword after fighting with his opponent for a full 10 minutes. There were no moves, no styles, no ultimate techniques, but this sword strike was like a stroke of genius. Under Chen Hao's state of mind, it displayed a fierceness that wasn't inferior to the platinum sky-splitting slash in the slightest. Puff. Rumble. When his opponent turned into a beam of white light and disappeared from the arena, Chen Hao's record was 209 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. However, Chen Hao's body was also covered in injuries. Obviously, his combat strength had been greatly reduced since he entered this mode of battle. However, Chen Hao was not dissatisfied in the slightest. On the contrary, every single battle allowed him to feel satisfied, and he was even able to find rare and precious points of brilliance from every single one of his opponents. No matter if it was a high-level unique skill, a low-level unique skill, or a self-created unique skill, Chen Hao hungrily searched for their true essence. He even searched for the origin of each move and style. Now, Chen Hao was like a sponge, crazily absorbing the essence of his opponents. A beam of milky white light poured down. Before the start of a new fight, Chen Hao's body and genuine core strength were restored to their peak state again. The fight was still going on. More and more cultivators gathered in the number 132 arena. Similarly, more and more cultivators chose to enter the arena to watch the fight. After a few consecutive fights that seemed dangerous but were won by a narrow margin, the way people looked at Chen Hao had changed. However, no one could guess why Chen Hao limited his strength. In everyone's opinion, it was completely meaningless. Every skill had its own specialization. A true unique skill could only display its strongest power after being thoroughly practiced. However, Chin Hao had obviously given up on all his unique skills and was only relying on his combat instinct to continue fighting. What was the point of this? They didn't understand. Unfortunately, except for the Infinity Ancestor, who was at the peak of the late stage of Daluo Jingxian, no one would pay attention to the fight of an insignificant person. Naturally, no one could understand Chin Hao's intention. However, this didn't affect everyone's expectation of Chin Hao. After triggering the hidden condition of the arena, Su Ke had won more than 200 fights in a row and was still going on. No matter what the condition was, it was quite sensational. Everyone also wanted to know how long Chin Hao's winning streak would last and how many fights it would last. Of course, everyone was also looking forward to the arrival of a true powerhouse. In fact, many powerhouses at the initial stage of the human celestial stage had already arrived. However, they were too late. Even if they had sent out the challenge applications, there were thousands of people in the queue. The way Chin Hao chose to accept the challenges was very simple. It was completely different from the other powerhouses who chose their opponents carefully. No matter how impatient the powerhouses were, they had no choice but to wait. Phew. Awesome, awesome. I'm afraid the income of the number 132 arena this month, or this year, will be way ahead of the others. Ha ha ha, yeah, I didn't expect that Chin Hao from the Wuji Star is really something. If he didn't trigger the hidden condition, even we wouldn't know about it. That's right. I've checked. Since the second world started operating, 37 cultivators have triggered this condition. In the long years, this is just a drop in the ocean. The latest one was from 3 million years ago. Therefore, it's not strange that we don't know about it. Oh. Who are they? I've never heard of their names. Maybe it's too long ago. I guess they're all dead or have become people at a level that we can't reach. However, according to the records, the one with the best record won 100,000 fights in a row. He was invincible. In the end, he gave up voluntarily when there were no more opponents that he was interested in, 100,000 fights in a row. Isn't that too exaggerated? Yeah. What's even more exaggerated is the time it took him to win 100,000 fights. How long do you think it will take? According to the calculation of 5 minutes per fight, it will be 288 fights in a day. If we calculate 300 fights, it will take 34 days. Since you said it's exaggerated, I guess it will be 15 days. 8 days. He only used 8 days to win 10,000 fights. Excluding the time between fights and the time to choose his opponent, he only used about a minute for each fight. It's about the same as Chin Hao when he first started. How strong is he? This is really unbelievable. However, I feel that this Chin Hao is weird. I don't know why he controls his strength. If not, his time for each fight is very fast. Moreover, this guy doesn't seem to be picky at all. He follows the order of the fight. What's the point of this? Fighting for the sake of fighting? I feel that this guy is a natural battle maniac. The reason why he's like this should be because he enjoys fighting. Yes, I think so too. Not only is he a battle maniac, he's also a masochist. Otherwise, why would he put himself in danger and get injured when he could kill his opponent in a second? Although this is the second world, it doesn't feel any different from the real world. That's true. It doesn't matter. Anyway, this guy's appearance is our luck. The dividends for the next few years will definitely not be small. Ha ha ha. The two cultivators in charge of Arena 132 were in the control room. As they received the information from the challengers and transmitted it to Chin Hao, they conversed. Brother Nya, you're here to join in the fun too. Ha. Brother Yun, aren't you here too? Did you see anything? I'm late. I can't see anything. I can't see how strong he really is. However, according to the people who saw him fight earlier, even if he's against us, he should be able to put up a fight. Anyway, this guy makes me a little excited. Oh. Brother Nya, you'll understand after watching a few fights. Purely based on battle talent, this guy is definitely stronger than me. Even if he's compared to you. Ha, brother Nya, don't be unhappy. I feel that in terms of battle talent, he's stronger than you. Is that so? Then I'll have to watch carefully. The young man who was addressed as Brother Nya narrowed his eyes slightly and focused on the arena. While the two of them were talking, the surrounding cultivators all looked at them with a trace of respect and admiration. Especially the young men and women, there was a hint of fanaticism in their eyes. These two were none other than the people who had the highest battle record and the strongest strength in the initial stage of the human celestial stage. They were also more famous than Zui Fan Chen. Most importantly, they were super genius disciples from the top forces of the Asianing planet. They had many halos on them. No one doubted that their future would not be limited to the Asianing planet. There was no doubt that they would become famous in the vast universe galaxy. One was called Nie Xiaofeng, and the other was called Yun Zhongjian. Watching one fight was just so-so. Watching two fights was not bad. After watching a few fights in a row, one would discover Chen Hao's strength. The newly arrived cultivators quickly reached a consensus on this point. Unfortunately, everyone was just like the two old men in charge of Arena 132. Without exception, they all saw Chen Hao as a natural battle maniac. He's here, too. After watching a few fights in a row, Yun Zhongjian suddenly said in a low voice when Ye Xiaofeng also issued a challenge and set the bet at 5,000 celestial core crystals. What? Nye Xiaofeng's keen senses also detected a familiar aura at this time. He hurriedly turned his head and looked at the cultivator who was walking toward them. The man was wearing a white robe. He was tall and slender, and he looked elegant. There was a simple smile at the corner of his mouth. He was full of elegance. The aura he exuded was faint but as deep as the sea. Anyone who sensed it would feel unfathomable. Chapter 526. As soon as the newcomer appeared, he attracted the attention of all the cultivators nearby. Their expressions were even more exaggerated. They felt as if they had unexpectedly seen their legendary idol. They were shocked, delighted, and excited. Brother Long, Nye Xiaofeng and Yun Zhongjian, the two famous people in the crowd's eyes, were a little nervous at this moment. They saluted the newcomer with cupped fists from afar and quickly approached him enthusiastically. The young man called Brother Long nodded slightly at them and walked slowly toward them. His pace was neither too fast nor too slow. The distance between each step was accurate to the millimeter as if it had been carefully measured. Wherever he passed, all the cultivators automatically made way for him. Even the most ignorant cultivators couldn't help but make way for him under his powerful chi field. Senior brother, who is this guy? You don't even know him. Oh, I forgot. You've only been in the arena for 2 months. It's not strange that you don't know him. But you must have heard of his name. Oh, who is he? Who else could make arrogant characters like Nye Xiaofeng and Yun Zhongjian bow their heads and bend their backs? Of course, he's Long Yi, who is known as the #1 cultivator in the human celestial stage on the Asianing planet. Ah. He's Long Yi. Long Yi was a name that everyone in the Asianing planet knew. He even made a name for himself in the vast universe galaxy. He was only a half-step earthly celestial, but he had a title that even earthly celestials and celestial celestials were envious of, the invincible celestial. In the vast universe galaxy, the half-step earthly celestials and the half-step celestial celestials weren't called that. Half-step earthly celestials were still classified as the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage. This was also the reason why there were only 3 areas for each stage in the arena. Long Yi's record was the only one in the arena of the Asianing city in the second world who had a perfect record of 9,999 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. That was a horrifying number. No one knew why he didn't trigger the divine punishment when he had the strength to become an Earth Celestial 10 years ago. Instead, he stayed in the arena of the human celestial stage and kept challenging others to improve his combat record. Until half a year ago, when his combat record reached 9,999, he went into seclusion. Originally, at the beginning, everyone thought that he was crazily challenging people for the sake of false reputation, which meant that his battle record was unable to truly measure his strength. However, later on, they discovered that his opponents, without exception, were all cultivators with more battle records than him. In other words, what he cared about was not the winning rate, but the number, which was the number of battles. As for those who challenged him, as long as they had a higher number of battles than him, he would accept them without exception. However, if it was someone who was weaker than him, even if that person had a perfect record, he would still reject the offer. When he won 3,000 battles in a row, the aces in the Earth's celestial stage and the Heaven's celestial stage were itching to challenge him. Many of them chose to challenge him in the false stage. From then on, his opponents had basically become the Earth's celestial stage and the Heaven's celestial stage, which had been demoted to a pseudo-stage. Because, among those in the same stage, there was no one who had a better combat record than him. Normally, with the horrifying combat power that he had displayed, he would be able to achieve a good result in the arena of the Earth's celestial stage. However, he had never challenged anyone in a higher stage. This also caused a lot of controversy. They thought that he was a perfectionist in numbers and didn't want to have any blemishes on his perfect record. "Brother Long, why are you here?" "I happened to come out of seclusion. I heard that this place is very lively. I'm here to see if he can hold on until it's time for me to fight," Long Yi said. Brother Long, although this guy is not bad, he definitely can't meet your requirements. Your current combat record is 9,999 victories, that's not necessarily true. It's not that easy to trigger the hidden conditions of the arena, Long Yi said slowly. As he spoke, he squinted his eyes slightly and fixed them on Chen Hao, who was in the arena. No one saw that, although he looked calm, there was a flash of jealousy in the depths of his eyes. Yes, it was jealousy. It was just like how no one could understand why he had yet to trigger God's punishment. It wasn't because he couldn't, but because he didn't want to miss out on an extremely important opportunity. This was because he had triggered a hidden condition in the arena. "Have both of you applied for the challenge?" Long Yi suddenly looked at the two of them and asked. "Just now, we applied for the challenge. However, I don't know if he can hold on. This guy doesn't look at his combat record at all. It's as if he's hungry and doesn't care about his combat record. He just accepts the challenge according to the order of application. What's more, look at him now. He could have killed his opponent instantly, but he has limited his strength to a level lower than his opponent's. It's a waste of time," Nie Xiaofeng said. "Yes, it's meaningless. Does it mean that he can gain fame by attracting people's attention? That's ridiculous. According to his fighting style, it's not bad if he can have 300 battles a day. It's a waste of time," Yun Zhongjian said. Hearing their words, Long Yi shook his head and said, "Maybe Chen Hao has his own purpose. Moreover, his combat record is quite good. Okay, I'm going in to watch." Swish. As soon as Long Yi finished speaking, he ignored the two of them and disappeared on the spot. "Brother Long, you're going in to watch a battle of this level? Brother Long, did you notice something? Why don't we go in and watch?" "I don't care if you go or not. I'm going in first. I believe in Brother Long." "Fuck. I'll go in and watch as well." Swish. Swish. The two of them disappeared on the spot. The surrounding cultivators who had been paying attention to the three of them were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. After all, even Yun Zhongjian and Nie Xiaofeng were outstanding figures of the younger generation on the Asianing planet, let alone Long Yi. How could they choose to watch the battle in the arena? Although they did not understand, many people still chose to follow the trend. Beep. 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 Huh. Long Yi also issued a challenge. What's wrong? That's strange. Did he also trigger the hidden condition? Come and take a look. This is the first time I've seen a challenge with additional conditions. No way. The two old men in charge of Arena 132 looked at the information in front of them with astonishment. Even they didn't know how many hidden conditions there were in the arena and who had triggered them. However, the information that appeared in front of them allowed them to conclude that Long Yi must have triggered the hidden conditions. Otherwise, when he applied for the challenge, there would be no additional conditions from the system. Chen Hao's battle record is 10,000. He has issued a challenge automatically. The total number of challengers is only 6,940, but it's still increasing. There are already many experts. I'm afraid that Chen Hao won't be able to satisfy Long Yi's conditions. Chapter 527. It's not that it's unlikely, it's impossible. Although Chen Hao's combat talent is not bad, and he has a powerful unique skill, he's still weaker than Zui Fan Chen in terms of strength. Among the people who have already applied for the challenge, he can't even pass Nie Xiaofeng and Sword in the Clouds. Plus, there are many other experts who have lowered their levels like Long Yi. That's true. But, the combo of skills he used in his battle with Drunken Mortal might not necessarily be his strongest battle prowess. Let's just wait and see. I actually hope that he can create a miracle. If that happens, our commission will be even higher. Phew. Awesome. This is awesome. After defeating another opponent, Chen Hao was getting more and more excited. Not only because of the bet, but more importantly, because of the insights he gained from each of his opponents. The birth of any battle skill or absolute art was a result of countless trials and tribulations. Especially the truly powerful battle skills, they could only be formed after countless battles. And now, what Chen Hao was doing was to comprehend and absorb the strengths of all his opponents. He believed that such a crazy battle would definitely allow him to improve qualitatively once he reached a certain level. It would allow him to find his own direction and create an absolute art that truly belonged to him, until, his own Dao, 300 victories. It's been almost 2 days. I wonder if I can take a break. Chen Hao thought to himself as he did not immediately accept the request of his next opponent. After continuous battles, he could recover to his peak state every time. However, it would take time to truly absorb what he had learned. However, there were too many battles. Chen Hao could not truly absorb what he had learned. After all, no matter how high his comprehension was, he could not absorb everything in a short period of time. Beep beep beep, at the thought of this, Chen Hao directly sent an inquiry to Ring 132. Take a break? The two old men were stunned when they saw Chen Hao's request. This was because they did not know that such battles that triggered the hidden condition could be paused. Therefore, the two of them passed on Chen Hao's request to the management of the arena. Soon, they received the result. I'm sorry. Once the hidden condition is activated, it can't be stopped. Unless you're defeated or give up, you have to continue fighting. The old man directly contacted Chen Hao. These rules are too. I still want to take some time to digest them. Since that's the case, then forget it, Ahem, little friend Chen Hao, you can't be thinking of giving up, right? Hearing Chen Hao's words, the old man was so scared that he hurriedly interrupted Chen Hao. It must be known that this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to make a fortune. If Chen Hao gave up, it didn't matter how much the arena lost, but the two of them would lose a lot of their commission. This opportunity is very rare. If you miss it, it won't happen again. Although you can't stop, it's not impossible if you want to digest what you've gained from the battle. You can choose your opponent's time limit after every battle and use it to rest. Although it's only 10 minutes, it should be enough to consolidate your foundation. What do you think? Chen Hao was slightly taken aback. He didn't think that the mechanized old man would be so humane this time. Furthermore, he didn't want to give up. What he wanted to say was to continue, however, the other party's words caused Chen Hao to instantly realize a problem. Immediately, a very difficult expression appeared on his face as he said, 10 minutes, is a little too short. What use can it be? I'd better, don't. How about this? Although 10 minutes is a time limit, but if you don't challenge an opponent, you can extend it to 15 minutes. We'll treat it as if you don't challenge an opponent and implement a 15-minute intermission. Little friend Chinhao, you must not give up. Let's not talk about this training for you. Look at how much money is being bet on each battle. If you miss it, you won't have this opportunity in the future. Every person is limited to 10 battles a day. If you want to improve your battle record, the time needed will be too long. This kind of opportunity is extremely rare. That's true. Alright, 15 minutes it is. Chinhao pretended to think for a while. When he saw that the other party didn't say anything else, he knew that this should be the limit that he could fight for. Thus, he decisively agreed. Good, good. Little friend Chinhao, we need to explain to the practitioners present that you need time to carefully choose your opponents. So, the order of your battles. Do you want us to help you choose? No problem. Anyway, I'll follow the order of the application. You can decide as you like. Also, you don't have to transfer all the challenge information to me. Just wait for the time being. You can arrange it as you see fit. Chinhao agreed even more readily. Shrewd as he was, he had already understood the other party's intention. Letting them help him choose his opponents was definitely better than letting him do it one by one. After all, everyone was doing it for the money. The stakes are very high. Do you want to inform us? If the stakes are very high and the ability is very strong, just inform me. If it's ordinary, then there's no need. Of course, the prerequisite is that the balance of my wealth card is enough. Ha, don't worry, beep beep beep. It was also at this moment that a notice was displayed on the huge screen. It clearly told the practitioners present that there were too many people challenging Chinhao. Chinhao had to carefully choose his opponents. The time limit was 15 minutes. They've started to choose their opponents. That's good. Maybe I can be early. Fuck, if I knew earlier, I would have raised the stakes. Maybe I'll be chosen early. How long do I have to wait? If there aren't 10,000 people who applied to battle with him, there are at least 5,000. Ha, luckily I just came and didn't apply. If that's the case, I'll raise the stakes. I should be able to be early. Instantly, a buzz of discussion could be heard from the crowd. Chinhao sat cross-legged on the arena. Under the concealment of the two elders, no one knew that Chinhao had entered a state of emptiness in an instant. Scenes of understanding from the battle appeared in his mind. 15 minutes later, the battle began again. The first opponent was indeed one with higher stakes. However, the results were average. After a few consecutive battles, the practitioners present analyzed the order of Chinhao's opponents. That was, Chinhao chose his opponents according to the stakes. However, the strength of his opponents was sometimes high and sometimes low. There was no pattern. There was only one thing in common, which was that they were not real experts. These practitioners were not fools. Naturally, they understood Chinhao's intention. The real experts would definitely be left for the last. As for those who were not a threat to him, they were all chosen according to the stakes. After every battle ended, there was a 15-minute pause. Moreover, Chinhao was still suppressing his strength every time. This directly caused the speed of the competition to become even slower. Some of the impatient practitioners finally gritted their teeth and made a decision at this moment, to increase the stakes. Although the proportion was not very large, the base number was huge. At least thousands of people increased their stakes. Of course, these were all rich people. Ordinary practitioners would naturally wait patiently. After all, 10 days to half a month was nothing to a practitioner. Moreover, watching the battles here was a kind of enlightenment in itself. It was something that many people often did. Hee, at least 6,000 battles. There won't be any problems. Ha, you're amazing. To think of this, we're destined to be rich for once. However, this kid is even richer. This is truly a win-win situation. That's right. We'll help him choose his opponents. Naturally, we'll let the strong ones meet him in the end. His strength is indeed not weak. He's about the same as drunken mortal. Not many can beat him. The number of applicants is still increasing. It's possible that it could exceed 10,000. This matter has caused a sensation in the entire Yang city. Look, there are more and more people watching the show. The two old men were extremely excited. Although this was somewhat cheating, it was still within the rules. Even if the higher-ups investigated, there would be no problems. They might even be rewarded. Who did not want to earn more money in the arena? In just 3 days, the name of Chen Hao on the Wuji Star had caused a sensation in the entire arena. To be exact, it had caused a sensation in the entire Yang city. Not only those in the human celestial stage, but even masters in the Earth celestial stage had gone there to join in the fun. Of course, the current sensation was not caused by Chen Hao's real combat capability. It was because he had triggered the hidden conditions of the arena, his fighting style, and the bets he had won. For most people, he was definitely a nouveau riche. Of course, everyone was also looking forward to seeing how far Chen Hao could go as his opponents became stronger and stronger. Beep, 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 outside the arena, Shimin Feng, who was staring at the arena obsessively, crazily, and intoxicated, was suddenly awakened by a communication request in his mind. Fuck, what's the matter? Speak up. Shimin Feng said impatiently after answering the communication request without looking at who it was. At this moment, enjoying Chen Hao's battle was the most important thing in the world. He did not want to waste even a second. Bastard. Third uncle, my dear third uncle, I thought it was my bastard brothers. What can I do for you? During this period, I have been practicing like crazy according to your instructions. Cut the crap, where are you now? I mean your real body. This. I am practicing in Mengzi City. Third uncle, what's the matter? Don't you want to see the chaotic space? I have a task for you. I will take you to see it. When do we set off? When you come back, we will set off immediately. I see. Third uncle, can we set off a few days later? I have a very important task now, and I am in the middle of it. No, we must set off as soon as possible. According to reliable information, this time, the disciples sent by the Wuji Star are among them. The number one genius of the Wuji Star is Chen Hao. At first, the family head did not care about him. But now, this guy has shown his terrifying talent in the arena. Once he grows up, he will be valued by the higher-ups. In that case, it will be difficult for us to eat the fat meat of the Wuji Star. Ahem. Third uncle, what should we do? Kill. Come back quickly, we will set off immediately. Third uncle, is there a problem? No. It is just that I need at least 3 days to go back. I must complete the task. All right, we will wait for you for 3 days. If you are not back in 3 days, we will not wait for you. No, you must wait for me. I will try my best to go back as soon as possible. Shimin Feng's heart was in his throat. If it was in the past, this would definitely make him excited. But now, after cutting off the connection with his third uncle, Shimin Feng frowned. He was very clear how much his family coveted the Wuji Star. It was impossible for him to stop the family head's decision, and he did not have the guts to stop it. No. I must not let him suffer any harm. I have to go all out. Beep, beep, beep. Shimin Feng directly sent out a challenge request. This was the only way to face Chen Hao. Even if he had to betray his family, he had to do it. 10,000 immortal origin crystals. Shimin Feng of the Shimin family. What a prodigal. But, I like it. In the control room, the two old men had taken charge of Chen Hao's challenge request. After receiving the challenge message from Shimin Feng, they widened their eyes in shock. This foppish young master of the Shimin family was famous. If it were not for his family background and talent, this guy's attitude towards cultivation would definitely be trash. Now, he was just a very ordinary person. They really could not understand how much this guy could gain by challenging Qin Hao with 10,000 immortal origin crystals. Let him go next. Rich but weak, he has to go first. Only this can stimulate everyone's enthusiasm. Hee hee. That's for sure. Phew. Next. After a 15-minute break, Qin Hao directly gave the order after digesting all the insights from the previous battle. Swoosh. A figure suddenly flew into the air and landed on the arena. From afar, Qin Hao frowned slightly when he saw the figure. Damn, this disgusting guy also came to challenge. Beep beep beep. Immediately, when Shimen Feng stepped into the arena, the huge screen displayed Shimen Feng's battle record and the bet. Voila, the battle record was very ordinary, but the bet number directly caused the entire arena to explode. A group of people were green with envy. 10,000 immortal origin crystals, this was simply free money. Everyone thought that the prodigal Shimen Feng definitely came to show off, purely to show off his wealth. When Qin Hao saw the bet number, the corner of his mouth twitched. Damn, is he going to keep me? If it was a beauty, I would accept it. But damn, for such a perverted guy, let alone 10,000, even if it was 1,000,000 or 10,000,000, no, no matter how much it was, I would not accept it. Brother Chen, the moment Shimen Feng stepped into the arena, he changed from his usual foppish self. His expression was extremely solemn, serious, and nervous. He stared at Qin Hao, who made his heart beat faster, and transmitted a message to him. Fuck off, don't disgust me. Admit defeat and get out of the arena, or I will kill you in one move. Qin Hao said unceremoniously. Brother Chen, don't misunderstand. I have something extremely important to tell you. Bah! It's an important matter related to the survival of the Wuji planet, and it's related to your life. Brother Chen, don't attack, wait for me to finish. Qin Hao did not expect this guy to say such a serious matter. He, who wanted to attack immediately, frowned slightly. Chapter 528. Someone knows that you are already on your way to the Yang planet. Our family wants to attack you and kill you halfway. Brother Chen, please give me your contact number. I don't want you to die. The only thing I can do is to keep track of my family's location. Don't worry, if you don't want to, I won't harass you. When you arrive at the Yang planet safely, you can blacklist me. Please. Shimen Feng's eyes were filled with sincerity and a trace of pleading as he stared at Qin Hao. Although Qin Hao was disgusted, what the other party said did not make him attack directly. He even pitied this perverted guy. How could he be so infatuated? Although he was disgusted, this guy was really a good guy. Such an important matter, coupled with Shimen Feng's heartfelt voice, Qin Hao was sure that Shimen Feng was telling the truth. There was no reason for him to approach him in such a way. The problem was serious. At least, it was beyond Qin Hao's control. It was not only about his own life, but also about the safety of everyone on the Infinite Silver Wings. More importantly, it was about the future of the Infinite Star. What should he do? Qin Hao stared at Shimen Feng, took a deep breath, and made a decision. Thank you for your reminder, but I don't want to have anything to do with you. I don't want to accept any of your favors. This is a matter of principle. Also, you'd better give up your disgusting thoughts about me. Brother Chen, say no more. Go down by yourself, or do you want me to kill you? Qin Hao said coldly. Although Qin Hao knew that if he gave this guy his number, he would definitely be able to get a lot of help, but Qin Hao knew that once he received this favor, how would he be able to make a move against this guy in the future? Even if this guy suppressed his special feelings for him and did not show it, he would still get goosebumps just thinking about it. How could he be disgusted like this every day? Therefore, he had to refuse. Qin Hao was not so great that he would sacrifice himself for the safety of the Infinite Silver Wings. Moreover, With this guy's reminder, he believed that the infinite ancestor and heavenly master Yuanru would definitely make a decision. They would not be at the mercy of the other party. Be careful. Whoosh. Chi. After Shimen Feng finished speaking, he directly slashed his sword towards Qin Hao. It was good that he had surrendered before the battle, but if he really did that after spending 10,000 immortal origin crystals, he would probably become the laughingstock of everyone. Therefore, he would rather die under Qin Hao's sword. Moreover, this could more or less fool people. Qin Hao shook his head. In the end, he did not immediately unleash his killing blow. Instead, he chose to treat everyone equally and suppress his strength. At the same time, he adjusted his mentality and treated this battle as an ordinary one until the end of the battle. When Shimen Feng turned into a beam of white light and disappeared from the arena, Qin Hao sent Shimen Feng's message directly to Heavenly Venerate Yuanru. This kind of high-level battle wasn't something he could control for the time being. Whether they could survive this crisis depended on how Heavenly Venerate Yuanru and Patriarch Wuji dealt with it. What he needed to do now was to use the fastest speed to increase his strength. Fight, fight, fight. What? After Heavenly Venerate Yuanru received the message from Qin Hao, his eyes widened in shock. At this moment, he and Patriarch Wuji were in the arena, watching Qin Hao's battle. Master, something big has happened. What's the matter? Patriarch Wuji frowned when he saw Heavenly Venerate Yuanru's shocked expression. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru forwarded Qin Hao's message to Patriarch Wuji directly. Shameless. How dare you use such a despicable method? Patriarch Wuji's expression became extremely ugly. Even he did not expect such a thing to happen. Furthermore, Patriarch Wuji thought of many more things in an instant. Since the Shimen family could obtain detailed information about the Wuji star, it meant that other forces with ulterior motives could also obtain it. What did this mean? Besieged on all sides. Master, what should we do? Heavenly Venerate Yuanru asked. They came prepared. I'm afraid it'll be difficult for me to deal with them alone. I've underestimated their shamelessness. If I'd known this would happen, I wouldn't have exposed Qin Hao. I've fallen into such a dangerous situation just to buy half a year. What a pity, I'm now. Patriarch Wuji stared at Qin Hao in the arena, his heart full of anger and frustration. If he had been in peak condition, how could this have happened? But now, it was useless to say anything. It seems that I have to find him. Patriarch Wuji looked at Heavenly Venerate Yuanru and said, change the course immediately and conceal all auras, even if it's just slowing down. No matter what, we must reach the Asianing planet safely. If, as a last resort, abandon the Silver Wing and save Qin Hao and a few outstanding geniuses. Do you understand? Report to me immediately if you have any news. Yes, Master. Hiss. Patriarch Wuji disappeared on the spot. Although he wanted to see how Qin Hao would perform, he could no longer do so. Due to the difference between the law of time in the second world and the real world, Qin Hao was still fully immersed in the battle. He still had plenty of time before the danger came. Moreover, even if the danger came, what could he do? In the battle in the chaotic space, he was just a human immortal. Not to mention fighting, even if he stepped out of the Silver Wing, how long could he survive was a serious problem. It was useless to think too much. It was better to fight. Time passed day by day, and Qin Hao completely threw away the dangerous situation. With the speed of 50 matches per day, he proceeded step by step. He did not waste even the 15 minutes of halftime break. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed in the second world. Qin Hao's record had soared to a terrifying level. 9,134 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. Phew. How many people are still waiting in line? About 80,000 to 90,000. And it's still increasing. How many experts are stronger than me? Thousands. What's wrong? Low-level battles are meaningless to me. I'm mentally tired too. Qin Hao could not meet an opponent who could make him understand. He finally gave up. He needed to welcome the real experts. Moreover, he didn't have much time left. Half a year in the second world was 180 days. In the real world, it was half a month. Cough cough. Chen Hao, you have to think carefully. This is all money. If you miss it, you won't have such a good opportunity. There's no limit to money. The key is to improve yourself. Alright, from this battle onwards, help me arrange the experts. This. Alright. Anyway, the 10,001st person is a real expert. Moreover, we can't change his order. There's something you can't decide? Yes, like you, he's someone who triggered the hidden conditions of the arena. This person is very strong. His record is 9,999, and he's known as the Invincible Immortal. It's probably impossible for you to win against him. The next few hundred people are all experts who are on par with you or stronger than you. Otherwise, if we arrange some weaker ones, we'll feel bad. Alright, let's do that. Awesome, fighting with him is really awesome. This is a feeling I've never had before. This Chen Hao is really a good person. I didn't waste my money. That's right, that's right. I really want to challenge him again. Ha, unfortunately, the rules don't allow it. I can only challenge him again in the future. Before Chen Hao's special battle ended, no one could challenge him again. If they wanted to challenge him again, they could only wait for the future. Besides this reason, the number of cultivators who applied for the challenge was really terrifying. Even if they could register, they did not know how long they would have to wait. Damn it, you guys are having fun. I've waited for almost half a year. Did I put a low bet? Much higher than all of you. I signed up with all of you. It's been a few months and it's still not my turn. This kid is just looking for rookies like you to fight. He's really greedy. Is it worth it for money? What's the use? If he goes on like this, it'll be my turn in a few years. If I had known this, I wouldn't have challenged him. In the crowd, some people complimented Chen Hao, while others scolded him angrily. In particular, the expert who applied for the challenge only a few hours after Chen Hao's battle. The atmosphere was very strange. It could not be helped. After half a year, Arena 132 had become the most lively scene in the entire arena. If they had not known that they would have to wait for too long, the number of people who applied for the challenge would have been more than 80,000 or 90,000. It was possible that there would have been millions of people. After all, the Yang city was a gathering place for cultivators from countless planets under the jurisdiction of the Yang planet. Beep. Beep. Ah. It's my turn. The cultivator who had just scolded Chen Hao suddenly received a notification that he had accepted the challenge. Damn it, I'll trample you to death. Let me end your competition. Boom. There was a loud bang under the cultivator's feet. He flew toward the arena like a cannonball. His powerful aura instantly enveloped everyone. An expert. Sima Hurricane. Finally, it's an expert. There was a burst of sighs in the crowd. In particular, some of the experts who had left, returned, and returned several times without getting their turn. They were more or less excited. Humph, Chen Hao, I've been waiting for you for nearly 6 months. I thought you were going to be a coward who would only look for rookies to bully. My time is precious. I've wasted 6 months waiting for you, so I'm very angry. Well said. Damn it, I've been waiting for you for a long time. Clatter, in an instant, many of the experts below the arena began to jeer. Obviously, Chen Hao's method of choosing his opponents, which had been going on for 6 whole months, had infuriated countless experts. Sorry, if it were you, would you waste this opportunity? Fuck. I won't waste this opportunity, but I won't pretend to be tough like you. What's the point of suppressing your strength and tangling with rookies? Cut the crap and let me end your battle. Chapter 529. You're not qualified. Boom. Boom. Two terrifying auras burst out from the ground. Sima Yu's strength caused the entire arena to explode. It had to be said that this was an expert on par with drunken mortal dust. Furthermore, he had his own strongest technique. Chen Hao naturally knew that his actions had attracted the attention of many experts. He wanted to explain himself, but of course, he wanted to let the audience hear him. However, after seeing this guy's performance, he knew that any explanation would be useless. He would fight. Why do I need you to understand my actions? Why do I need you to understand my Tao? More than 9,000 battles, 6 months of time. Now was the time to test his gains. Now was the time to stop restricting himself and unleash his full potential. Chi. In just an instant, Sima Feng, who surpassed Chen Hao in both aura and true essence, had countless openings in Chen Hao's eyes. In fact, the moment Sima Feng attacked with his sword, Chen Hao had already grasped all of his possible trajectories. And it was also at this moment that Chen Hao stabbed out with his sword, erupting with a resplendent sword light. Sima Yu Feng immediately felt as if his weak point had been locked down. The thousands of sharp changes in this attack seemed to have been sealed. However, his battle experience from hundreds of battles allowed him to make the best decision. Boom! Pooh! Pooh! An explosion. Two sounds that penetrated flesh rang out in the audience's ears. Immediately, two rays of blood shot out. One was Chen Hao's, and the other was Sima Yu's. No one expected the battle to end so quickly, and no one expected the two to fight with their lives on the line. No one expected that the so-called expert, the expert who fought with anger, Sima Yu, would not even have the chance to let out a final roar before turning into a ray of white light. As for Chen Hao, there was only a transparent hole above his heart. It was a classic case of self-inflicted losses of 800 to the enemy's 1,000. However, the calmness, sharpness, and arrogance he displayed had shattered everyone's understanding of Chen Hao. Next, Chen Hao ordered. A ray of white light flashed. Under the protection of the natural order, Chen Hao was once again unharmed. At the same time, below the arena, a powerful aura rose into the air again. Voila! After being silent for nearly half a year, the surroundings of the entire arena once again erupted into a frenzy. Half a year had passed, and Chen Hao had intentionally suppressed his strength during his battles, causing everyone to forget about the wild and violent nature he had displayed during his battle with Drunken Mortal. Until now, Chen Hao's cold and merciless sword had appeared once again. One move. It was still one move. One move again. Today, half a year later, Chen Hao seemed to have transformed into the most precise killing machine. No matter who his opponent was, no matter how strong his opponent was, no matter how profound their ultimate techniques were, no matter how ever-changing they were, and no matter how many killing moves they were hiding, in Chen Hao's eyes, they all seemed to have become transparent and had nowhere to hide. His sword was like the scythe of the Grim Reaper, simple and smooth, but cunning and merciless. This sudden change increased the efficiency of the battle by 100 times. Everyone was stunned, including all the noisy experts. They all stared with their eyes wide open, and no longer made any sound. All they could do was stare at the arena, at the cold and arrogant figure. The two old men in charge of Arena 132 were equally shocked. Even they did not expect that after half a year, Chen Hao would explode with such wildness and coldness. The opponents they had chosen for Chen Hao were indeed opponents that Chen Hao could defeat, but they would definitely be opponents that would be difficult to defeat. Just like drunken mortal dust, Chen Hao could only rely on continuous use of his ultimate art to defeat his opponent. But now, what did they see? They seemed to have underestimated Chen Hao's strongest strength from the very beginning. This was what they thought. In fact, they did not underestimate Chen Hao's strength, but underestimated Chen Hao's speed of growth. That was all. 10 matches. 50 matches. 100 matches. One by one, the experts came to the arena and disappeared quickly. None of the battles lasted more than 1 minute. Similarly, Chen Hao gave up all the intermission time. This speed, this wildness, this fierceness, this insufferably cold, although the strength he showed was still at the human celestial stage, it made people feel that he was a peerless swordsman. 200 matches. 300 matches. 700 matches. 800 matches. As the battles went on, in just a little more than a day, there were 800 matches, with an average of about 2 minutes per match. Finally, this speed began to slow down as the opponents became more and more powerful. But this moment of slowing down didn't make anyone complain. In fact, it was exactly what they wished for. At this time, the number of people who entered the arena to watch the battles reached an unprecedented climax. At the beginning of each match, countless cultivators disappeared around the arena. Tens of thousands. That was the least. Until now, everyone really recognized the strength of Chen Hao. Even if he lost now, he was destined to become a legend in the arena, a real top expert. Phew, this is a real battle. This is what I call cool. Come on, I want to see how much my combat record can be improved. After killing another expert, Chen Hao's eyes, which were as bright as stars, were shining with unprecedented combat intent. The onlookers were satisfied, and so was Chen Hao. This was a test of his comprehension of more than 9,000 battles. Now, his progress made him very cool. Rumble. Chi. The 9,934th match was finally the turn of one of the two most famous cultivators at the initial stage of the human celestial stage, Yun Zhongjian. Yun Zhongjian had also waited for 6 months, and he had gone to the arena several times. Now, it was finally his turn. The battle that he had been looking forward to for 6 months made Yun Zhongjian's fighting spirit soar to the extreme. The moment he flew into the arena, he seemed to have turned into an unsheathed sword. His sword energy was awe-inspiring, and his sword light was eerie, but it was also mysterious and ethereal. Just like his name, Yun Zhongjian. Yun Zhongjian. He is Yun Zhongjian, my idol. At the initial stage of the human celestial stage, except for Nie Xiaofeng, who is as powerful as him, no one else is a match for him. Right. Right. His ethereal sword principle has been cultivated to a very high level. It is ever-changing and can kill people without leaving a trace. I wonder if Chen Hao can continue to fight him. It's hard to say. Chen Hao's strength is also very powerful. Although he didn't stand out in any aspect, this kind of strength is more unpredictable. Let's wait and see. However, even if he can defeat Yun Zhongjian, he won't be able to hold on for long. According to the order of the battles he chose, I guess the rest of the cultivators at the initial stage of the human celestial stage should be the incarnations of the earth celestial stage or even the heaven celestial stage. Right. After defeating Yun Zhongjian and Nie Xiaofeng, Chen Hao is basically invincible at the initial stage of the human celestial stage. Chen Hao, I have waited for you for 6 months. You are very powerful. You are also very powerful. Chen Hao sensed Yun Zhongjian's aura. Finally, a wicked smile appeared on his handsome and cold face. Those who knew Chen Hao well would know that his signature smile would only appear when he met a real opponent. It was not hard to imagine that Chen Hao's words were not a compliment. They were the truth. If you can defeat me, you are basically invincible at the initial stage of the human celestial stage on the Asianing planet. No matter you win or lose, I hope you will try your best in this battle. Of course, I will not hold back. Sorry, even if I can defeat you, I am not invincible at the initial stage of the human celestial stage. Chen Hao said when he saw Yun Zhongjian's arrogant but honest eyes. Oh. Yun Zhongjian was puzzled. My real stage is the later stage of the human celestial stage. Now, I am just consolidating my combat skills. Swish, Chen Hao's words caused an uproar among the cultivators. At the same time, many people heaved a sigh of relief. No wonder he is so powerful. It turns out he is an ace at the later stage of the human celestial stage. However, the crowd was puzzled. Why didn't an ace at the later stage of the human celestial stage come to the arena? Because everyone knew Qin Hao started from zero. I see. Let's cut the crap and get started. Okay. Chi. 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 The battle was about to begin. So that's how it is. No wonder his combat skills are so strong. If that's the case, I'm a little disappointed. Below the arena, Nie Xiaofeng stared at Qin Hao, who was on the arena, as he muttered to himself. Indeed, many aces were relieved when Qin Hao told them about his real cultivation stage. Because everyone knew a cultivator at the later stage of the human celestial stage disguised as an initial stage of the human celestial stage was only limited by his strength. His vision, experience, and combat skills were much higher. In this way, it would not be a fair battle. At least, Qin Hao's position in the crowd's hearts was greatly reduced. However, if they knew Qin Hao had reached the later stage of the human celestial stage from the initial stage of the human celestial stage in one go without a single battle, they wouldn't think so. Chi. 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 Boom. Boom. Chi. 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 The sword in the clouds seemed to have transformed into the clouds in the sky. It was erratic and ever-changing. Every sword strike was ethereal and unfathomable. The real killer move was definitely earth-shattering. Even Qin Hao couldn't lock down the trajectory of Yun Zhongjian at this moment. Undoubtedly, Yun Zhongjian was the most powerful opponent he had encountered since the beginning of the battle. Moreover, Qin Hao was sure that if he didn't have the enlightenment from the previous 9,900 battles, he would probably lose if he encountered Yun Zhongjian directly. He integrated the ethereal sword principle into the law of clouds and fog. His power has definitely increased by several times. It's not difficult to be invincible. But it's not easy to defeat him, unless, in just half a minute, Qin Hao felt the power of Yun Zhongjian. In terms of absolute strength, he had no advantage at all. It was difficult to win, but not impossible. Chapter 530. Cloud mist ice is a derivative of the water element. Cloud mist impermanence is ever-changing. Ethereal sword principle is also unpredictable. With the combination of these two elements and his absolute advantage in strength, I can only take the initiative and control the rhythm of the battle. It's impossible to win in a short period of time by relying on my understanding of the cloud element and ethereal sword principle. Qin Hao's 5 elements were extremely derivative, and his comprehension of the essence was very strong. In particular, he had been baptized by the original energy of the primordial space. Similarly, his secular swordsmanship was all-encompassing and could be said to be the origin of all kinds of swordsmanship. Although he had not fully comprehended it, he had already comprehended the ethereal swordsmanship. There was no doubt that the sword in the cloud was truly exquisite. It had integrated its unique skill with the two elements into one and reached a state of perfection. Therefore, if Qin Hao wanted to win, he had to find another shortcut. Boom! Chi 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 chi. In an instant, Qin Hao's figure split into 6. At the same time, the 6 figures did the same action. They turned around and waved their swords. Streaks of sword light streaked across the 6 light curtains and covered the entire arena. They cut violently and fiercely. Ah ah ah, countless screams that could not be heard by the onlookers rang out in the independent realms. At this moment, even the powerful drunken mortal could not withstand the terrifying power that Qin Hao suddenly displayed and was forced to withdraw from the spectator mode. Ethereal sword principle. How many sword daos has Qin Hao mastered? Back when he was fighting drunken mortal, he used the soft sword Dao and the destruction sword Dao. Now, the aura he's displaying seems to be the ethereal sword Dao. Isn't this too freakish? The cultivators who were baptized by the sword light and withdrew from the arena were indescribably shocked. You have also comprehended the ethereal sword principle. Not bad. Unfortunately, your realm and application are far inferior to mine. Break it. Chi chi chi. With a wave of his hand, the sword in the cloud emitted 6 streaks of sword light that were more powerful than Qin Hao's. Boom boom boom. An earth-shattering explosion of energy instantly reverberated throughout the entire arena. Pooh! Chen Hao spat out a mouthful of essence blood from the backlash of the enormous power. However, at this moment, his eyes emitted two even more resplendent rays of light. With a hiss, he completely disappeared from everyone's sight, merging with everything in the world. Although Chen Hao didn't have time to practice his carving skills during this period, he still had an amazing breakthrough in the realm of integrating everything in the world. As for him, the reason why he had sent out 6 scattered and unfavorable attacks was because he did not expect to injure the sword in the clouds. What he wanted was for the sword in the clouds to block the attacks from 6 directions at the same time so that he could accurately calculate the position of the sword in the clouds. This was Chen Hao's unique ability. It was probably an ability that the cultivators in this world would not even think of. It was the ability to calculate the opponent's position based on the time, position, and speed of the 6 swords. This was also an absolute art, a unique earthling absolute art. Science. It was a combination of satellite positioning and spatial geometry. Of course, in order for Chen Hao to do this, he had to have extremely powerful and precise senses. Now, he had seized the opportunity to lock onto the sword in the clouds position. The sword in the clouds was shocked because he had lost track of Chen Hao's aura. You want to play concealment with me? Ha! Interesting. You are an expert. Chi. Before the sword in the clouds could finish his sentence, he shut his mouth in shock. A dazzling sword energy appeared behind him without any warning. It was very close. At this moment, an unprecedented sense of danger made his hair stand on end. He slashed out with his sword with his strongest strength and fastest speed. Boom! The violent collision of energy made Chen Hao and the sword in the clouds appear at the same time. They both rolled and retreated. Kill! Hiss! Chen Hao's ghost-like body didn't stop rolling and disappeared again. What a powerful concealment skill! At this moment, even the invincible immortal Dragon Yi's pupils contracted. When the sword in the clouds was about to merge with the clouds, Chen Hao's attack came again. Fast. It could only be described as fast. The sword in the clouds could only attack hastily. Moreover, Chen Hao's attacks were continuous. The sword in the clouds could no longer control the rhythm of the battle. He could only defend himself and counterattack. Although this situation didn't affect his strength, it was impossible for him to use the ethereal sword Dao and the true essence of clouds and clouds to confuse his opponent. At this moment, the sword in the clouds finally realized how freakish Chen Hao was. Ever since he had mastered the ethereal sword Dao and the true essence of clouds and clouds and clouds, no opponent could make him feel so frustrated. He had always been the one controlling the rhythm of the battle. But now, Brother Long, I'm afraid it won't be easy for the sword in the clouds to win. It's not that it won't be easy. It's impossible. His strongest aspect is completely restrained. It can be said that this battle is under Chen Hao's control. It's just a matter of how long he can last. Even I underestimated Chen Hao's true combat strength. Brother Long, although the sword in the clouds is fighting passively, he still has the upper hand. His strength and true origin are stronger than Chen Hao's. Is he going to lose? You neglected his tenacity. Yes. Although Chen Hao's previous battles had been rather boring, he'd always fought with his instincts and stimulated his opponent's strongest abilities. Although I didn't know what he was doing this for, I knew that he was training himself and absorbing the strengths of many different schools of thought. More importantly, he put himself in danger every time. You saw it too. Although his physical strength is ordinary, he can withstand great damage. Also, his mental state is even stronger. If you were to fight a few thousand battles, would you be able to endure it? You can recover to your peak state every time you fight, but what about your mental state? Not to mention a few thousand battles, even a few hundred battles would make your hair stand on end. However, he was able to focus fully every time. Such a person's mental state is extremely strong. You can say that he's a madman. Once he's obsessed, he'll enter a state of madness. Ah. Nie Xiaofeng was shocked. He had not expected Long Yi, who was known as the invincible immortal, to have such a high opinion of Chen Hao. He had not expected Long Yi to see so many problems that he could not see. You have a higher chance of winning against him. Don't be discouraged. However, I do hope that you lose. Ahem, Brother Long, what do you mean? After all, we're on the same side. The reason is simple. I don't want to miss out on such an opponent. Of course, it's not a big deal if you can win. At most, I'll challenge him in the future. That's right. You can challenge him in the future anyway. Besides, he has no reason to refuse an invitation from an expert like you. Therefore, I won't go easy on him. Nie Xiaofeng said. He knew the rules of Long Yi's battles. He had to fight more battles than him. Currently, it was difficult to find a cultivator on the Asianing planet who had fought more battles than him. That was why he had not come to the arena in the past 2 months. That was 9,999 battles. How many people could reach that number? Well, go all out. It won't be long before it's your turn, yes. If nothing goes wrong, it'll be my turn soon. Nie Xiaofeng and Sword in the Clouds were on par with each other. Nie Xiaofeng was only slightly better than Sword in the Clouds. Even if they fought, it would be difficult for Nie Xiaofeng to win. Winning 7 out of 10 battles was his limit. The battle between the two had evolved into a close-range battle. Brilliant sword light flashed, and tens of thousands of swords flew back and forth in the sky and on the ground. The intensity of the battle was far more thrilling than any of the previous battles. Under the pressure of Chen Hao's extremely sharp sword skills, Sword in the Clouds burst out with unprecedented power. He completely forgot about the fact that he could not launch a surprise attack with his strength and devoted himself to the head-on battle with Chen Hao. 10 minutes later, amid the exclamations of countless people, Chen Hao and Sword in the Clouds both fell to the ground. Neither of them turned into white light. However, Sword in the Clouds failed to stand up. Chen Hao, who stood up shakily, won the battle. It was a difficult battle. Just as Long Yi had expected. In this battle, Chen Hao asked for a 15-minute break. Sword in the Clouds, who had returned to his peak state, said, "Awesome." Then, he sat down with his legs crossed and entered a state of cultivation. Without a doubt, both of them benefited a lot. The battles that followed became extremely difficult. Each battle lasted for more than a quarter of an hour. Chen Hao won every battle by a hair's breadth. There were no people who could really kill him. After more than 10 battles, Nie Xiaofeng finally got on the stage. Unfortunately, he, who was full of confidence and was determined to defeat Chen Hao, performed worse than Sword in the battle with Chen Hao. He was unwilling to admit defeat, but there was nothing he could do. Chen Hao's fighting style seemed to be his nemesis. He felt he had lost the battle with only 90% of his strength. He felt humiliated. Fortunately, Chen Hao had told him in advance that he was in the pseudo realm. Otherwise, he, who was known as the #1 powerhouse in the initial stage of the human celestial stage, would be humiliated. The following dozens of people were basically in the pseudo realm of the intermediate stage or the late stage of the human celestial stage. They were definitely the top figures in the intermediate stage or the late stage of the human celestial stage. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been arranged to fight after Nie Xiaofeng by the 2 old men. However, when everyone thought Chen Hao couldn't hold on for long, Chen Hao won again and again. He made his record reach a height that was enough to show disdain for all the members in the arena. He won 10,000 times, lost 0 times, and drew 0 times. Beep. 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 At this moment, the crisp sound of a message rang in Chen Hao's mind. Congratulations, you have triggered the hidden condition of the arena again. You have the attribute of hiding your identity in any arena in the second world. You can also adjust your record at will and challenge the opponent you want to fight. Chen Hao's identity and record cannot be changed. More than 9,000 words, can I cast a monthly vote? Thank you. Chapter 531. Are you kidding me? Chen Hao was stunned. Being able to activate the hidden condition once by chance was already very, 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 very impressive. He had not expected to be able to activate it again. What made Chen Hao even more excited was that the hidden condition, which did not seem to have any substantial rewards, was actually tailor-made for him. Especially since he had already tasted the benefits of endless battles, he instantly realized how awesome this reward was for him. It was very simple. He could still fight endlessly and would not be restricted by the limit of 10 battles a day. He could fight 10 battles as long as he used a fake identity. What was the limit? The only difference was that the battle records of the fake identity did not overlap with the battle records of the real identity. In other words, the battle records of the real identity could not be changed. More importantly, Chen Hao's reward was not limited to the Asianing planet. This meant that he could disguise himself as any virtual character in the arena of any city in the secondary world and challenge anyone. This was definitely a cheat that was tailor-made for Chen Hao, who had already comprehended the pursuit of his own great Tao origin. Awesome! This is really awesome. Luckily, I lasted until the 10,000th battle. Otherwise, I would have missed out on this awesome condition. Phew! It's finally my turn. Outside the arena, the invincible immortal dragon Yi breathed a long sigh of relief. His entire aura underwent a subtle change at that moment. His aura, which was as unfathomable as the sea, began to ripple. His loftiness was beginning to show. Brother Dragon, what's wrong with you? It's still too early for you, isn't it? Yun Zhongjian, who had already woken up from his state of comprehension, could not help but ask when he sensed the change in Long Yi's aura. He knew that Long Yi was going to challenge an opponent with 10,000 battles. However, he also knew that, given Long Yi's terrifying strength, he would definitely be ranked last before it was his turn. That was a terrifying battle record of 9,999 wins, 0 losses, and 0 draws. Seeing this number, how could Chen Hao dare to choose Long Yi at this time? No. It's already my turn. Long Yi's eyes shone with a bright light as he murmured. A strong battle intent also uncontrollably erupted without restraint. Around him, countless cultivators looked at him in shock. Why are you here? This was too strange. Could it be that the person behind him was even stronger than Brother Long? That's not possible. It's a bit too much of a coincidence. After all, Brother Long, you're going to fight someone who has more battles than you, and it's your turn right after they've surpassed you. Long Yi smiled but did not answer Yun Zhongjian's question. Back then, he had triggered a hidden condition after he had obtained 3,000 wins, 0 draws, and 0 losses. Ever since then, he would only find opponents who had more wins than him. Everyone thought that this was a special hobby of his. They didn't even think about the hidden conditions, and he didn't reveal it to anyone. He only knew that when his battle record reached 10,000 wins, he would receive a reward from the arena system. He didn't know what the reward was, but he knew that it was the most suitable reward for him. This was because he had asked his master about the hidden conditions of the second world. Almost every hidden condition that was triggered and completed the mission in the end received the most suitable reward for them. He had comprehended the barrier a long time ago. The reason why he didn't trigger the heavenly punishment to advance to the Earth's celestial stage was that he had to win 10,000 battles in the human celestial stage. Otherwise, how could he, who was known as the Invincible Celestial, confine himself to this stage? The Invincible Celestial Dragon Yi, what a strong fighting spirit. It seems that Long Yi has also challenged Chen Hao. He, who is as lonely as snow, has finally met someone who fulfills his conditions. Yes, it's not easy. But it's not his turn yet, right? It's definitely not his turn. But Chen Hao's battle record has reached 10,000 wins, which fulfills his conditions. I'm sure he'll be excited. Countless people in the crowd were discussing this. Needless to say, Long Yi's battle record and real strength were absolutely supreme among the cultivators at the celestial stage on the Asianing planet. Even Qin Hao, who had a record of 10,000 victories, could not compare to him. My young friend Qin Hao. Are you going to take a rest or start a fight? You'd better be careful in this fight. Long Yi, who is known as the Invincible Celestial, is absolutely a top figure in terms of battle record, combat strength, combat skills, and experience. If it weren't for the fact that he has the same nature as you, he would have put you in last place. Ahem. Qin Hao didn't recover from his extreme excitement until now. He said hurriedly, we can start the fight now. Okay. I hope you can win, although it's basically impossible. Hearing the old man's last words, Qin Hao was quite depressed. Is this a fucking big deal or a slap in the face? What kind of bullshit is this? Gasp. Just then, Long Yi, who had received the order to start the fight, turned into a strand of light. His speed was not fast, as if he was strolling in the air. His aura and fighting spirit were not strong, just like at the beginning. But it was this perfect calmness that made everyone feel that he was unfathomable. Although Long Yi hadn't entered the arena yet, Qin Hao knew that he would be the strongest person he had ever met. Intuition. Just the look in the other party's eyes made Qin Hao feel an unprecedented threat from the depths of his soul. It was as if he was looking at an unshakable mountain, or as if he was facing an unfathomable ocean. What a strong guy. For the first time, Qin Hao's confidence in winning was a little shaken. He didn't like this feeling, but it was the truth. This was completely the absolute power and the huge gap between them, which made him feel this way. Brother Qin, hello. Long Yi landed on the arena. He looked calm with a faint smile, but it wasn't the kind of smile that made people feel disgusted. And the first greeting didn't have the slightest arrogance of the #1 expert in the human celestial stage. This made Qin Hao a little uncomfortable. He was a person who would never be too polite and disdained to be too polite. I'm very happy to have you here. No matter if I win or lose, I want to be friends with you. Long Yi said again. Although he had the confidence to win, his words were still not arrogant or impatient. This kind of demeanor was absolutely rare in the cultivation world where the strong were respected and arrogant geniuses were everywhere. Moreover, Qin Hao could feel that Long Yi was really not being arrogant, but was very honest. Or it could be said that this was his nature. Ha, ha. Qin Hao finally spoke. His handsome face was not so cold for the first time. He said, it should be a good thing to have a friend like you, although I don't know you well. Same to you. Men and women can fall in love at first sight. We can also be friends at first sight. This is intuition. Ha, ha. Yes, intuition. My intuition tells me that my chances of winning this battle are almost zero. Fortunately, your bet is not very high. Otherwise, I'll reject you. Can you give me your contact number? Mine is ********, Long Yi said through soundless communication. Mine is ********. While the two of them were conversing, the surrounding cultivators had decreased by more than half. Of course, they did not leave. Instead, they entered the arena to watch the battle. Everyone looked at Long Yi and Qin Hao. Coupled with their conversation, they felt a sense of appreciation for each other. Not only did the two of them have a terrifying record of winning all their matches, but also their extraordinarily handsome appearances and terrifying combat power. Even, perhaps it was due to the influence of the above factors, but people felt that Qin Hao and Long Yi's appearances were somewhat similar, especially from the side and back. No matter how much appreciation they had for each other, the battle was about to begin. Moreover, neither of them would hesitate, and neither of them would want to give in. A majestic and terrifying aura and a monstrous battle intent rose from the two of them and enveloped the entire arena. Not to mention the cultivators who had entered the arena to watch the battle, even the cultivators outside the arena who were separated by the restrictions of the arena could feel a mountain-like pressure. Strong. Especially Long Yi's aura, it was so strong that it shocked everyone. As for Qin Hao, he was equally astonishing. That was because his aura was much stronger than any of the previous matches. Although it was still incomparable to Long Yi, it gave people the feeling that this guy was a natural battle maniac who became stronger when encountering a strong opponent. Bang! Bang! When the aura of the two of them reached their respective limits, two explosions finally broke out. In an instant, the distance of thousands of feet between them was crossed in a flash, and they directly confronted each other head-on. There were no excessive fancy moves, as if it was a predetermined way of fighting. Simple, direct, and straightforward. Ding! Ding! Bang! 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 Sword, fist, palm, and leg collided with each other with unparalleled speed and ferocity. At this moment, except for the real powerhouses, no one could see the two of them clearly. It was just the beginning, but everyone had to admit that this was definitely a peak battle in the arena of the initial stage of the human celestial stage. At least in any battle that they had seen in the initial stage of the human celestial stage, it was incomparable. This Qin Hao is so strong. Nie Xiaofeng, who had entered the arena, stared at Long Yi and Qin Hao passionately, and thought to himself, I don't blame him for losing. Originally, he thought that Long Yi's victory would be as easy as crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. However, he did not expect that Qin Hao, who was much weaker in terms of absolute power, would use his own power to the extreme at this moment, causing him, a bystander, to feel shocked. Qin Hao, who was completely suppressed and at a disadvantage, had no flaws in his attack and defense. The transition between hardness and softness was very smooth. Borrowing strength, neutralizing strength, and turning strength were used to the extreme. Even Long Yi didn't expect that Qin Hao could reach such a level. Strictly speaking, he had no advantage in the combat skills and fighting instincts that he was proud of. He was even at a disadvantage. With the same strength, he wouldn't be the one who had the upper hand. 12,000 plus, can you give me a monthly ticket? I really need passion. Please, everyone. I also implore those who have the ability to support the original subscription. If you can't, you can support the first order. Thank you. Chapter 532. The pressure was getting heavier and heavier. Qin Hao was almost out of breath. It was a kind of spiritual restraint. Every time he defended, his body had to bear an unimaginable pressure. Every time he attacked, it was like an ant trying to shake a big tree. In front of his opponent's absolute power, he couldn't cause any damage at all. How could he feel good about this feeling? Especially, as the battle went on, Long Yi became more and more courageous. The power of his body and true core strength was getting stronger and stronger. Am I really going to lose? Although Qin Hao had made this judgment a long time ago, or it could be said that his heart was shaken, the arrogant nature in his bones never allowed him to admit defeat. Even if he knew that the hope was almost zero, he would still do his best to grasp the light that basically didn't exist. Fight. Fight desperately. Qin Hao unleashed everything that he had learned and comprehended without holding back. The Thousand Transformation Profound Energy Technique, Platinum Sky Splitting Slash, all kinds of Sword Dao Wills, Heavenly Dao Laws were all unleashed by Qin Hao at the right time. But even so, in front of Long Yi's powerful combat skills and absolute power, he was still unable to change his weakness. This kind of suffocation made Qin Hao clench his teeth. The fire of war in his bones was burning fiercely. Similarly, the more he fought, the stronger he became. 15 minutes, Long Yi forced Qin Hao to retreat with his sword. His bright eyes shone with a stronger fighting spirit. In the human celestial stage, no one can make me fight for more than 5 minutes. Fortunately, he has learned a lot and he is not really proficient in one aspect. Otherwise, it would be more difficult. It is impossible for him to defeat me in terms of absolute power. But it is not easy for me to defeat him. Let's see how long he can hold on. I have no choice, I must win. After a series of crazy attacks, Long Yi, who had experienced countless battles, came to a conclusion. This battle was destined to become a war of attrition. The existence of the hidden mission left Long Yi with no choice. Otherwise, the best choice would have been to declare a draw in the current state of the battle. Otherwise, even if he won, he would feel ashamed. After all, he was most confident in his combat skills and innate fighting instinct. But he was defeated by Qin Hao in these two aspects. What was the point of relying on the advantage of strength? The prideful him disdained this kind of victory. However, the hidden mission and the condition of winning 10,000 consecutive matches required him to persevere until the end and obtain victory. Ding ding ding. Boom. Boom. The battle lasted for half an hour. Whether it was Long Yi or Qin Hao, they both slowed down a little. The power and vital essence they released were not as violent as before. Only his fighting spirit was still soaring. It was obvious that both of them had expended a lot of energy. However, at this moment, the two of them had truly let go. A smooth and mysterious feeling began to grow in their confrontation. It was the legendary feeling of meeting one's match and fighting to one's heart's content. You want me to? Even though he was enjoying himself, Qin Hao still couldn't hold back in the end. At this moment, Long Yi's power was controlled to the same level as Qin Hao's. Although Qin Hao felt great, it was not what he wanted, so he sent a voice transmission directly. Don't misunderstand. I can't take you down by force. I'm just conserving my strength for a protracted battle. I'm sorry, but I have to win this battle. That's the only way. Long Yi could hear Qin Hao's dissatisfaction. After all, in a battle between masters, if he deliberately gave in, not only would his opponent not be grateful, but he would also think that it was disrespectful. That's good. Qin Hao said no more. His attacks instantly became fiercer and fiercer. I didn't expect this, I really didn't expect this. Qin Hao's potential is really amazing. It seems that Long Yi has the absolute advantage in this battle, but strictly speaking, Long Yi has already lost. Indeed. What Qin Hao lacked was physical strength and Jin Yuan, and he was only a genius disciple of the Limitless Star. Moreover, he had just entered the second world, otherwise, he would not have started from zero. He should have just stepped out of the Limitless Star, right? This means that his physical body and vital essence probably haven't undergone any transformation. With his talent, I believe that as long as he enters the Yang Star, he will definitely be favored by the top forces. At that time, it shouldn't be a problem for him to be baptized by the 10,000 spirits' holy water, right? Once his physical strength and vital essence are improved, I'm afraid it's not impossible for him to defeat Long Yi. Yes. It's really timely for the Wuji Star to have such a peerless genius. It's hard to say whether it's timely or not. Let's see how far he can develop in these few decades. The fierce struggle between factions is not that simple. The two old men in charge of the number 132 arena were watching the battle between Qin Hao and Long Yi as they discussed secretly. The two of them fought to their heart's content. The audience was also relaxed and happy. They were completely immersed in the wonderful and thrilling battle between the two of them. Before they knew it, 4 hours had passed. At this time, the movements of the two of them had completely slowed down. Their physical strength and vital essence could no longer maintain the average level of the initial stage of the human celestial stage. The onlookers suddenly realized that the two of them had been fighting for 4 hours. Everyone was incomparably shocked in their hearts. Such a long period of time was simply incomprehensible. What made them even more shocked was that although Qin Hao was in a disadvantageous position, he actually didn't repeat any of the moves he used in the past 4 hours. This was a huge contrast to Long Yi. Long Yi was performing sets of unique skills more and more smoothly. He repeated them countless times, but each time, it gave people a new feeling. There was no doubt that Long Yi had a breakthrough in his understanding of his unique skills during the battle. That's it. There's no point in continuing like this. Qin Hao suddenly said. The winner hasn't been decided yet, you have the upper hand. You should have won. If this continues, I have almost no chance of winning. Swish. To everyone's surprise, Chen Hao actually chose to admit defeat. If those who knew Chen Hao were present, they would definitely find it unbelievable. Was this still Chen Hao? But this time, he really admitted defeat. It was just that what he said was not completely true. Although he was at a disadvantage, it wasn't certain that he would lose. He couldn't predict the real outcome, but he had at least a 40% chance of winning. The reason why he didn't fight for it was because he felt Long Yi's determination to win. In addition, he found out from the two old men that Long Yi had triggered the hidden condition. Also, Long Yi himself said that he had to win. This made Chen Hao understand that this battle was very important to Long Yi. Hence, Chen Hao didn't persist and went easy on Long Yi. Although he didn't show it, he did go easy on Long Yi. It was because he had a good impression of Long Yi. It was an inexplicable good impression. Of course, this good impression was different from the one Shimin Feng had for him. Maybe it was mutual appreciation, but in Chen Hao's opinion, it wasn't completely the case. In short, this was a very strange feeling. Similarly, Long Yi also had this feeling towards Chen Hao. Otherwise, before the battle, the two of them would not have acted like long-lost brothers and felt like old friends at first sight. If there's a chance, let's fight again. Whoosh! Chen Hao flew out of the arena, leaving behind a frowning Long Yi. Beep beep beep, at the same time, when Long Yi's battle record became 10,000 wins, a clear message notification sounded in his mind. Immediately, Long Yi's face shone with extreme excitement. He couldn't wait to howl at the sky. Beep beep beep, congratulations, your wealth card has been upgraded to a silver card. In the second world, you have the authority to check the balance of your account and transfer money. You are allowed to overdraft 100,000 immortal yuan crystals for free. All purchases in the wealth center will be discounted by 20%. There's actually something from the Earth mode? The moment Chen Hao stepped out of the arena, he received this notification. Without a doubt, this was the reason why Chen Hao's wealth card savings had soared. It was similar to the Earth's bank model and was upgraded. Furthermore, he had obtained a certain level of authority. Check balance and account details. Chen Hao's mind had a special line from the wealth center. Dear customer, the balance of your wealth card is 1342960. 00 immortal yuan crystals. The details are as follows. Fuck. So much. These 10,000 wins really made a lot of money. On average, it's more than 130 crystals per match. Simulated my income in the training field. When Chen Hao saw that there were thousands of crystals from the training field that he had never been to before, he was a little surprised. I received it half a year ago in the second world. At that time, I wasn't that famous, right? Who would spend so much money to simulate me? Could it be that pervert? It should be him. Oh. Chen Hao shuddered. He instantly determined that it was Shimin Feng. Especially when he thought of the way that guy looked at him, he would definitely do something like that. Although it was just 2 glances. Of course, only a rich second generation like Shimin Feng would be willing to pay such a price, right? At least, that was what Chen Hao thought. Unfortunately, what Chen Hao didn't expect was that the main source was Bailey Ningbing. Firstly, Chen Hao underestimated Bailey Ningbing's hatred for him. Secondly, Chen Hao also underestimated Bailey Ningbing's wealth. Phew. So many immortal yuan crystals, I must enjoy them. Chen Hao let out a long breath. Only now did the information that Shimin Feng gave him appear in his mind again. However, I should still make some preparations. Immediately, Chen Hao used the transfer inquiry authority of the silver card and obtained the wealth card numbers of Chen Shui, Helian Wuzi, Xia Yuyu, and Tan Tai Lian. He transferred 300,000 immortal yuan crystals to each of them. As for himself, he only kept a little over 100,000. Senior brother, I'm done. Inside the limitless silver wing, Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged, stood up and walked to the control room. Chapter 533. Half a year in the second world was only 18 days in the real world. Celestial Master Yuanru left the arena after receiving the news that Qin Hao had received from Shimen Feng. He devoted himself to the Silver Wing and paid close attention to the chaotic space. Every once in a while, he would enter the second world to report to the Infinity and see if there was any further news. Planet Wuji was in danger because of the Infinity's own strength, but the upper echelons of Planet Wuji still had a certain amount of power. This included the Infinity's first and second disciples. How many matches did you win? Who did you lose to? Celestial Master Yuanru asked, not too surprised. He'd often communicated with Qin Hao in the Silver Wing. After all, the second world was just a wisp of Qin Hao's consciousness. Without a truly powerful opponent, Qin Hao didn't need to devote himself to battle. Qin Hao's body had only entered the ethereal state since yesterday. 10,000 matches, lost to Long Yi. Long Yi, known as the Invincible Immortal, can't complain about losing to him. Even I, your senior brother, would have to put in a lot of effort to defeat him if I were a human immortal in the false realm. With his true Yuan advantage, you should be proud if you can last 50 moves against him. Ah. Celestial Master Yuanru saw that Qin Hao's expression was a little grim. He naturally thought that Qin Hao was consoling him because he'd lost to Long Yi. But when he said 50 moves, Qin Hao's expression seemed a little strange. After a slight pause, he hurriedly said, even if you can last 10 moves, you're still very strong. After all, you've won 10,000 matches, haven't you? Long Yi's matches in the human immortal realm were basically all over the place. Very few could last 10 moves. Junior brother, how many moves do you have? Even 5 or 6 moves are very strong. Even one move is nothing. Isn't it mainly dependent on Long Yi? Under absolute power, it's normal for you to not be able to block my ultimate move. Cough cough. Qin Hao's expression was getting weirder and weirder. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru's bottom line was getting lower and lower. He was trying to comfort his junior brother. Based on Heavenly Venerate Yuanru's understanding of Qin Hao had never lost since he entered the world of cultivation. This time, losing to Long Yi was a heavy blow. There were too many examples of this type of genius. Once they lost their confidence, it would have a huge impact on their future. This was not what he wanted to see. Pfft. Senior brother, aren't you underestimating this junior brother too much? Qin Hao finally couldn't help but laugh out loud. His impression of Empyrean Yuanru skyrocketed. He could see that this senior apprentice brother who was thousands or even tens of thousands of years older than him truly cared for him. Ah. Junior brother, what do you mean? I'm just worried about our current situation. As for the battle with Long Yi, to tell you the truth, I admitted defeat. Otherwise, I might not have ended the battle. You didn't fight with him? Yes, we fought for 4 hours, and there was no winner. However, I was still at a disadvantage. There was no point in continuing. This person is not bad, so I didn't have to persist. No. No way. Do you mean that you can fight evenly with Long Yi? You can say that. Alright, senior brother, tell me about our current situation. Is there any new news? Qin Hao changed the topic. Impressive. Very impressive. No wonder they increased their forces. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru looked at Qin Hao with a little excitement. Master has already gathered all the top forces on the Wuji planet, including eldest senior brother and second senior brother who you haven't met yet, the 3 palace masters, and the 10 heaven immortals. They're all moving out to meet us. However, perhaps because of our actions and your performance, the Shimen family and the other 4 forces who want to kill us have increased their forces. How did we get this information? Is it accurate? Qin Hao frowned slightly. Of course it's accurate. The Wuji planet has its own sources of information. It's just that it costs more. The only thing we're worried about now is that the 5 forces will join forces to kill us. If that happens, I'm afraid we'll have to abandon the Silver Wing and escape with you, Lengning Lu, Leng Ning Lu, Bailey Ning Bing, and the other 10 people with the most potential. We'll wait for eldest senior brother and second senior brother to come to our rescue. Junior brother, you don't have to worry about this. No matter what, I'll guarantee your safety. You just have to focus on your cultivation now. This chaotic space is vast and boundless. They're just 5 forces. Can't we just avoid them and go around them? It'll be great if that's the case. The space we can change is limited. Their aircraft's detection ability is several times stronger than ours. More importantly, we don't dare to venture into the unknown chaotic space. Why? Spatial storm. In fact, after countless years of exploration, there are only a few relatively safe and stable routes. Once we walk out of this area, we might be annihilated by the terrifying spatial storms before we even encounter them. This star fragment isn't bad. Let's hide here. Chi. 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 Heavenly Venerable Yuanru's eyes shone with excitement when he saw the huge black rock displayed on the control screen. After receiving the news, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru had changed their route and been looking for a place to hide. And now, he finally saw a star fragment that was neither too big nor too small. Go, go. Go and cultivate. It's useless even if you're worried. Only you and I know about this. Let them keep it a secret so they won't panic. I'll find a reason later. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru said. It's fine. I'm still in the second world. What can I cultivate here? Don't worry, it won't affect my state of mind. Senior brother, there are many star fragments. Why did you choose this one? The black boulder on the screen was getting bigger and bigger as it got closer and closer. This star fragment is a remnant of the star core. It has a strong interference and shielding aura. Coupled with the Silver Wing's own aura concealment system, it won't be easy for them to sense us. Unless they happen to be within 1,000,000 miles of this star fragment and discover his existence, then there's no way. Oh. Unfortunately, there's a violent spatial storm ahead of us. We'll have to stop flying for a while and take shelter here. It'll only delay our arrival at the Asianing planet, so there's no need to worry. You can continue cultivating in the second world. Huh? A spatial storm. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru, how long will that take? I'm in a hurry to meet up with my friends, an Earth celestial cultivator asked. A month at most. There's nothing we can do about it. The spatial storm is so powerful that our Silver Wing can't fight it at all, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru explained. Rumble, after 15 minutes of deceleration, the huge Silver Wing finally landed on a pitch-black land. The high-speed rotation of the star core fragment still caused a huge roar the moment they touched. It lasted for 3 whole minutes before the roar disappeared. The Silver Wing and the star core were rotating at the same frequency. However, the cultivators inside the Silver Wing couldn't sense any movement at all. The transparent window that had been closed in advance also prevented them from seeing what was outside. I've sent news of our location to Senior Brother and the others. If they can get here in advance, we'll be out of danger. At most, we'll have to abandon the Silver Wing. Senior Brother and the others are expected to arrive in 2 months. They should be able to make it. Sigh. If only Master's original body was still here, we wouldn't be in such danger. Daluo Jinxian, it's a pity that I can't break through. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru looked at Qinhao, who was frowning and deep in thought. Senior brother, I want to go down and take a look. Qinhao suddenly said. Go down and take a look. How can that be? Human celestials can't last long in the chaotic space. Not to mention inside the chaotic space, even near the edge of the planet, they can only last for 15 minutes at most. No matter how strong you are, you'll die in an hour at most. If not, I'll leave all of you here to hide. I'll drive the Silver Wing to attract their attention. It'll be easy to get through this crisis. I might have a way, you have a way. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru was shocked. Senior Apprentice Brother, if you trust me, then let me modify the silver wing. However, I need to find some materials. Also, I'll need your help. This. Junior brother, are you sure you're not joking? Heavenly Venerable Yuanru looked at Qinhao in shock, unable to believe what he had just heard. When they first boarded the silver wing, Qinhao had indeed asked a lot about the silver wing, which proved that Qinhao had a certain level of ability in refining equipment. However, the silver wing was a magical treasure refined by a top expert of the Daluo Golden Wonderland. With Qinhao's cultivation, it would be difficult for him to even damage it, let alone modify it. At this point, how can I be in the mood to joke? Senior brother, you have to understand that eldest senior brother and the others set off later, and the other party set off before us. What we can think of, they can also think of. How do you think we can survive? Even if senior apprentice brother takes the few of us and escapes, everyone else is destined to be sacrificed. Can you escape? Even the silver wing doesn't dare to enter the unknown territory. How can you dare to take us? Also, I believe that since they dare to do this, they must have your aura. The chances of escaping are almost zero. We can't completely hope that eldest senior brother and the others can arrive. Since the other party discovered our movements, they will naturally assess our strength. Even if they arrive, what can they do? This. Qinhao's words hit the nail on the head, leaving Heavenly Venerable Yuanru speechless. How could he not have thought of this? It was just that he did not want to be an alarmist. To be precise, he still had hope. So, there's no harm in letting me try. Qinhao stared at Heavenly Venerable Yuanru and said firmly. Chapter 534. Junior brother, you're right. But, with your current cultivation, how are you going to leave? What's more, gathering materials. This isn't something that can be done in minutes. Yuanru said. My body should be able to withstand it for a while. Senior brother, don't worry. I'll go out and try. If it doesn't work, I'll just rush back. There won't be any danger. Then I'll go with you, no need. Senior brother, you can't help me with the materials I need to gather. I need a special method. Besides, you need to maintain the silver wing. If you leave, it'll be a mess. Quietly send me out, Qinhao said. Although Yuanru Celestial was close to him, there were some secrets that Qinhao didn't want others to know. For example, the Infinity Ancestor had discovered that he came from Earth, but he still hadn't revealed his true uniqueness, such as the 10,000-year-old female corpse he'd obtained genes from, the other half of his soul, the old god in his mind, and many other mysterious things. Alright, be careful. Don't go too far. I'll wait for your news in the secondary world. If anything happens, inform me immediately. Yuanru Celestial looked deeply at Qinhao. In the control room, he suddenly sent out a burst of energy. Soon after, Qinhao disappeared in front of him. Even Yuanru Celestial didn't understand why he trusted Qinhao so much. Perhaps it was really as Qinhao said, that he'd been forced into a desperate situation and was desperately trying to find a doctor. Or perhaps it was because of the strong confidence in Qinhao's eyes. In short, this was a person who always brought about surprises and miracles. Through his understanding of Qinhao and his interactions with him during this period of time, such thoughts had unknowingly influenced experts like Yuanru Celestial. Of course, Yuanru Celestial wasn't stupid. He knew that Qinhao's so-called inability to help wasn't as simple as he'd said. There had to be some secret hidden on him. However, everyone had their own secrets. He wasn't curious enough to get to the bottom of it. Besides, why wouldn't he choose to trust someone who could surprise the Infinity Ancestor time and time again? Hiss. 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 With a flash of light, Qinhao appeared on the black star core fragment. The strong wind, which was as strong as a knife, blew towards Su Kei's face. It was mixed with the violent turbulence of energy. It was comparable to the attack of a powerhouse at the initial stage of the human celestial stage. It was omnidirectional and continuous. Fortunately, Qin Hao had been prepared with Heavenly Lord Yuanru's reminder and the more precise instructions in his mind. The moment he emerged, his body was already covered in a layer of powerful protective stellar energy. Phew, it's true that a human celestial realm master can't withstand the chaotic space for long. It's 10 times stronger than the edge of the planet, right? Qin Hao thought to himself as he breathed in the violent energy turbulence. Old God, how confident are you? It depends on luck. Any star remains contain a large amount of minerals. However, it's hard to say whether they are precious or useful. The probability is not very high. After all, the remains of this planet are in your so-called safe zone, and countless cultivators have collected them. We can only try. Old God said, how long can you withstand it? It's hard to estimate. If I only rely on my protective stellar energy, 1 hour should be the limit. But I want to try and see if I can adapt. Adapt? Yes. I have a feeling that my body has the ability to reorganize cells. If possible, I can adapt to this kind of space turbulence. I'll give it a try first. Okay. Be careful. Old God said. Clang. Swish. After Qin Hao finished speaking, he suddenly attacked with the newly refined 5-element sword. At the same time, an extremely sharp energy burst out from his body. He instantly became one with the sword, turning into a spinning top. His head was down and his feet were up. He rushed towards the extremely hard star core fragment like a diamond drill. Rumble, in an instant, black stone fragments flew everywhere. Qin Hao's body slowly sank into the ground. What a hard meteorite. It seems that if my body can't adapt to this kind of violent energy turbulence, we won't be able to collect much even if I can hold on for 8 or 10 days. Qin Hao said in his mind as he sank. The so-called collection of materials naturally meant that he had to take this black meteorite into his mind and let old God refine it. But with such a hard meteorite, how much could he collect without using the carving technique? After all, if he wanted to use the carving technique, he had to restrain all the energy around him. This meant that Qin Hao's body had to be able to withstand the turbulence naturally. Phew! In the control room of Silver Wing, Heavenly Lord Yuanru looked at the scene on the screen and heaved a long sigh of relief. Junior brother is indeed amazing. It's already very difficult for an ordinary immortal to withstand the turbulence of space turbulence, let alone collect materials. But he broke through the star core fragments so easily. Heavenly Lord Yuanru looked at Qin Hao disappearing into the ground. He was both surprised and emotional. Qin Hao went down about 1,000 feet in one go. It took him a full 10 minutes. It was only then that Qin Hao stopped. Let's hope it works. Inside the cave, the turbulence of space energy did not weaken at all. This was different from the space of any planet. It was not something that could be blocked by the turbulence of space energy like the wind just by hiding. It could be said that the turbulence of space energy was a kind of energy that was mixed with countless kinds of energy, between tangible and intangible. As long as one was in the chaotic space, there was no way to avoid it. But the reason why Qin Hao did not choose to stay on the ground and instead chose to stay in the cave was naturally to avoid Heavenly Lord Yuanru's gaze. Of course, he was not afraid that Heavenly Lord Yuanru would see how strong his body was, but he was embarrassed to be seen naked. Hiss. 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 Qin Hao sat down cross-legged, and the protective aura on his body began to weaken bit by bit. In an instant, a feeling as if a blade was slicing his body began to grow, and at the same time, the Taoist robe on Qin Hao's body directly turned into powder, disappearing without a trace. This fellow had also become completely naked. At this time, Qin Hao immediately held his breath and did not move. His mind was completely integrated into every cell on the surface of his body. He felt the sharp pain and changed the way his cells were combined. In the past, this was something that Qin Hao could not actively control. But after reaching the human immortal stage, he clearly felt that he had this ability. This was the real strength of his body. This was also the reason why the Infinity Ancestor could see that Qin Hao's body was special. And this was his first practice, and it did not disappoint him. Gradually, the naked Chen Hao's skin shone with a faint golden light. His entire person seemed to have turned into a golden body arhat of the Shaolin Temple. The small wounds caused by the turbulent flow of space energy began to quickly heal. At this time, Chen Hao weakened his protective upstanding qi again. He was wounded again, and then healed again. This process was repeated over and over again. Time passed by minute, Chen Hao's protective upstanding qi disappeared little by little, until it completely disappeared. Success. Swish. Chen Hao was a gentleman. His legs swayed valiantly as he stood up, and a wisp of excitement flickered on his face. Ha, no matter whether I can successfully transform the silver wing or not, at least I have a glimmer of hope. What if I can adapt to the space storm in the unknown territory? Chen Hao thought proudly. But in an instant, he became gloomy. Not to mention whether he could adapt to the space storm in the unknown territory. Even if he could, would he be able to leave the beautiful sisters behind and escape on his own? Master, it's not impossible. At this time, old God, who was also excited, spoke. Obviously, he had also sensed Chen Hao's thoughts. If you can merge with me again, you will have an ability that only the Supreme of Hung Meng has. Old God said. What ability? The ability to turn the mind space into a real world. From then on, it will not only be your inventory space, but also the Yin God space that can accommodate souls and primordial spirits. Any life form can survive in it. It can be said that it has the basic attributes of a planet. Have the conditions been met? This. Not yet. However, it all depends on luck. If this fragment contains something we need, then there's still hope. Master, hurry up and start collecting. I will refine it. Old God said. By now, the proud and arrogant old God had already submitted to the perverted Chen Hao. He even called Chen Hao Master very naturally. Okay. Chen Hao responded and didn't hesitate any longer. His aura was immediately restrained to the extreme, and his mind was integrated into the remains of the star, grasping its life trajectory and texture. After a full 5 minutes, Chen Hao's eyes emitted 2 rays of light, and the sword in his hand made a hiss sound, and suddenly launched. Chi 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 chi. In just a blink of an eye, the incomparably hard star was cut into pieces like tofu under Chen Hao's sword. Every time a piece was cut, it would automatically enter Chen Hao's sea of consciousness. At the same time, Old God also activated the smelting function of the primordial spiritual treasure. The fire in the furnace burned fiercely. The huge fragment of the star turned into a torrent in an instant. The impurities were removed and the essence was condensed. Such a terrifying smelting and purification speed. Even the masters of the Daluo Golden Wonderland who had the super-powerful smelting furnace would be shocked. This, heavenly venerable Yuanru, who had long been worried, was even more shocked at this moment. In fact, when Chen Hao had drilled into the ground, although he could not see Chen Hao's figure, the sensory system of the silver wing could clearly detect Chen Hao's aura. As time passed, he was naturally very worried that Chen Hao would not be able to endure it. This was especially so when he sensed that Chen Hao's protective aura was growing weaker and weaker. This made him even more prepared to lend a hand at any time. Chapter 535. However, Chen Hao's life aura did not weaken in the slightest under the silver wing's detection, nor did he show any signs of calling for help. This made him resist the urge to attack. Now, Chen Hao suddenly began to move toward the depths of the star core at a faster speed. How could he not be shocked? Although Heavenly Lord Yuanru had not experienced it personally, he knew how hard the black star core fragment was. Originally, when Chen Hao was one with the sword, the speed at which he broke the star core fragment was more or less within the acceptable range. But now, the speed was too fast. A carving technique that blends everything in the world. This should be the secret art left behind by the mysterious Chen Hai, who even Master had to be courteous to. It's just that no one has been able to cultivate to Chen Hao's level. And to use this carving technique, one must restrain the energy around the body. This means. Heavenly Lord Yuanru instantly thought of the most crucial point. He became more and more shocked and excited. He did not know how Qinhao did it, but he knew that to be able to resist the chaotic energy turbulence of the space with one's physical body was absolutely extraordinary. Even the strongest inheritance of the Wuji Immortal Palace could not do this. But Qinhao did it. Qi. 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 Pieces of neatly cut black star core appeared under Qinhao's sword and then disappeared in front of him. The cave was getting deeper and bigger. In Qinhao's mind, Old God was frantically refining and extracting the mineral essence of the star core. Waste, waste. Still waste. Keep going down, keep going down. Old God muttered in dissatisfaction. Although this was already within his expectations, he was still very depressed when he actually found out that there was nothing useful in the mine. Master, it seems that our luck is not very good. The mineral vein on the remains of the star core is not very bad, but it is far from enough to transform the silver wing. Alas, this so-called safe area is basically the leftovers. We can only try to go deeper. In that case, I will go deeper for the time being and not mine. Okay. The black stellar core fragment was still spinning rapidly in the chaotic space. However, just like the rotation of Earth, the silver wing and Qinhao could no longer feel it. When Qinhao and Old God discovered that they couldn't extract any high-level materials that could be used to modify the silver wing, they didn't waste any more time. Qinhao went deeper and deeper as fast as he could. 2,000 feet, 3,000 feet, 2 hours, 4 hours, 1 day, 2 days. As time passed, Qinhao went deeper and deeper. However, the speed of his advance also became slower and slower. However, this situation made Qinhao and Old God excited. This was because the increase in the planet's core's hardness meant that the materials it contained were getting better and better. Qinhao wanted to capture its life trajectory and texture, but it was getting harder and harder. Master, collect some for me to take a look. Alright. Ha. At a depth of 1 million feet, the essence extracted should be comparable to the materials of the silver wing. Master, you can start harvesting now. Phew. That's good. While Qinhao was immersed in mining, in the depths of the chaotic space far away, an aircraft that was more than 10 times the size of the silver wing was traveling through the space turbulence at a terrifying speed. It was like a bright meteor. Wherever it passed, some of the smaller stellar core fragments were directly turned into powder by the terrifying energy it emitted. It couldn't stop its advance at all, inside the aircraft. In the huge control room, 3 powerful old men and a young man were staring at the control screen. Third uncle, can we determine the location of the target? This young man was the guy who gave Qinhao a headache, Shimen Feng. He had always looked like a playboy, but at this moment, he had a rare serious look on his face. He looked at the most powerful of the 3 old men and asked. It's naturally impossible to pinpoint the target accurately. And it's still early. At least a month later. Oh. Third uncle, this chaotic space is so vast. Can we really find them? According to the news, they should already know about our operation and will naturally hide. Ha. You brat, why do I feel like you've become a different person recently? In the past, you never cared about these things. If you could use your hands, you would never use your brain. Ahem. Third uncle, no matter what, I'm still one of the heirs of the family. I have to learn more. Well said. You're finally enlightened. Third uncle's efforts were not in vain. I'm very satisfied with your recent performance. The patriarch has also seen it. With your talent, as long as you're willing to work hard, no one can snatch the patriarch's position from you. This time, if we can kill the people of the Wuji Star, especially that Qinhao, third uncle can give this credit to you. Ha! Don't worry. Although the chaotic space is vast and boundless, the safe areas for navigation are only a few narrow routes. Look at these. Shimen Feng's third uncle, Shimen Luyun, pointed at the huge screen in front of him. With a slight thought, 4 intersecting light belts appeared on the screen. These 4 roads are the only way for them to get to the Yang planet. The widest one is no more than 6 million miles wide. Our Jinlong is equipped with the most advanced reconnaissance tactical deployment and, at a high price, is connected to the advanced signal system of the Second World. Its detection range is 3 million miles. That is to say, as long as their spacecrafts are on the same route as us, there is nowhere for them to hide. What's more, the advanced signal system of the Second World can directly lock onto the low-level signal system of their spacecrafts. How can they escape? Oh, but they may not necessarily be on the same route as us, it doesn't matter. The patriarchs of the other 4 forces have been contacted. It can be said that the Shiman family is now in control of them. The other 4 forces are blocking the other 3 routes according to their strength. Basically, they can't escape even if they have wings. Then, Shiman Feng asked a lot of questions to clarify the situation, including the situation of the other 4 forces. After that, he said, "That's good. I don't have to worry about anything. Third uncle, I'm going to the Second World to practice. Call me if anything happens." Ha! Good. If you can reach the medium stage of the human celestial stage in half a year, I'll reward you with 1,000,000 celestial core crystals and a low-grade divine artifact. Go, go. Shiman Luyun looked at Shiman Feng dotingly. He was more affectionate than his own son, let alone his nephew. Especially when he promised a reward. Even Shiman Feng's father would not be so generous. What should I do? What should I do? After walking out of the control room, Shiman Feng went directly to his private room. This Golden Dragon aircraft was much more luxurious than Qinhao's Silver Wing. Its facilities were like a huge palace. I haven't seen him since I told him to leave the arena. I've hired so many people to look for him, but there's no news. Obviously, he didn't enter the Second World at all. What should I do? What can I do? If I die like this, what's the point of living? Shiman Feng's usually foppish face was unusually solemn at this moment, as if the sky was falling down. Even if I can find him and tell him. I'm afraid I can't stop third uncle. Forget it. If it really comes to that, I'll just have to go all out. Shiman Feng bit his lip and made a decision. He would protect Qinhao at all costs. Even he didn't dare to believe that he had gone mad. Or rather, he had gone mad. From Qinhao's attitude towards him, he had long since understood that there was no hope between him and Qinhao. However, he still had no regrets. It was not for anything else. As long as he could obtain information about Qinhao and occasionally catch a glimpse of him, everything would be enough. What kind of spirit was this? Heaven and earth moved, it's impossible to find him. Then I'll try to find Heavenly Venerable Yuanru. As long as I can find their communication numbers. Although it might not work. Indeed, even if Shiman Feng told Qinhao all the information, it would be useless. There were only 4 safe routes from the Wuji planet to the Yang planet. And the Silver Wing had been sailing for a while. At this moment, it was useless to turn back. With the speed of Shiman Feng and the others, they would definitely reach the Wuji planet before them. Otherwise, they could return to the Wuji planet to hide. It was protected by the laws of the vast universe galaxy. No matter how strong they were, they would not dare to break into the Wuji planet. Unfortunately, this route was blocked. Similarly, the experts sent by the Wuji planet were of no use. Not to mention that they could not make it in time. Even if they could, the Shiman family and the other 4 forces would be enough to deal with them. Now, the only hope was for the Shiman family to encounter the Silver Wing. Because then, he could threaten them with death. He believed that with his third uncle's love for him, there was still a glimmer of hope. Other than that, there was no other way. Fend for itself. Fend for itself. Why? Second World, Yang City, deep in the palace of the Wuji planet. The Wuji planet had waited for 20 days and sent out countless messages. Until now, he finally received a reply. There were only 4 simple words: fend for itself. This made the Wuji planet's expression extremely ugly, and he was extremely angry. Chen Hao is his son. Although he is his adopted son. Don't you have feelings for him? If you don't have feelings for him, why did you protect him so much on the Wuji planet? If you have feelings for him, why don't you care about his current situation? I don't believe that you still don't have the ability to control him. The Wuji planet clenched his fists. He was angry, desperate, and confused. Chapter 536. But there was nothing he could do. Helplessness. Extreme helplessness. If he was in his peak state, how could he be so humiliated? A tiger in the plains would be bullied by dogs, and a dragon in the shallow sea would be teased by shrimps. The Infinity Ancestor closed his eyes sadly. He knew that this crisis would wipe out his biggest hope, the hope he had when he made that decision 10,000 years ago, the hope to save the Wuji star. Basically, he could only rely on himself. 50 years, 50 years. Could he succeed? No. I can succeed, I will succeed, I must succeed. Today's humiliation, when I succeed, I will return it 100 times over. No one can conquer or enslave the Wuji star. The Infinity Ancestor opened his eyes suddenly and said firmly. After that, he sent out a few messages and turned into a white light, disappearing from the second world. A warrior cut off his wrists and cut off all means of retreat. His only hope had been wiped out, there was no way out. He could only rely on himself. Time is running out, Master, we have to speed up the collection. Fuck, this is already my fastest speed. How much more do we need? According to your design, we need at least 100,000 tons of purified materials. Now we need 40,000 tons. At the current speed, we need at least 5 more days. If we need 5 more days, we have used 14 days to collect the materials. That means we have 1 more month to modify and refine the materials. It is indeed very tight. Yes. When modifying and refining the materials, even with the help of Heavenly Lord Yuanru's magic power, it won't be much faster. It's hard to say if we can complete it in 1 month. What if the enemy comes earlier? Chen Hao frowned. After a moment of silence, he took a deep breath and said, "Let me see if this works." Hiss. As soon as he finished speaking, the sword in Chen Hao's hand split into 2. At the same time, a golden figure appeared beside him. It was a doppelganger. The old gods suddenly understood what Chen Hao was going to do. He was doing 2 things at once, activating the carving technique. With old gods' understanding of the Carving Heart Sutra, this was undoubtedly an extremely difficult task. Originally, Chen Hao had to focus all his attention on comprehending the life trajectories and veins of the star nucleus. Only then could he cut it quickly. But now, even if he could cut it in 2, wouldn't it affect the speed at which he could control the veins? Hiss. Hiss. It can't be. Just as Old God was worried about Chen Hao's multitasking, Chen Hao's doppelgangers split into 3. Including himself, there were now 5. Old God wanted to stop him, but when he saw Chen Hao looking in 5 different directions and concentrating on the remains of the planet, he held himself back and didn't say anything. At this moment, the cave was completely silent. The 5 Chen Haos didn't move at all, and their auras were restrained to the extreme. Obviously, he was fully focused on comprehending the veins of the star nucleus. Hiss. Hiss. It was far slower than when Chen Hao acted alone. But, as the boulders flew up and merged into Chen Hao's mind, Old God suddenly realized what was going on. Hiss. 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 I can still be faster, almost there. A day and a half later, Old God said excitedly, "Master, hiss. Hiss. I didn't expect you to be so fast. You saved 3.5 days. Are you sure it's enough?" I'm sure it's enough. Okay. Let's go back now. Hiss. Chen Hao's 5 figures suddenly merged into one. His entire body turned into a stream of light as he soared into the sky from the deep cave, flying towards the silver wing that was docked not far away. Junior brother, are you done? Just as Chen Hao got close to the silver wing, a bright light flashed. A small door opened on the silver wing, and Chen Hao was sucked into the control room. Senior brother, what's wrong? Chen Hao asked in surprise. Hiss. Junior brother, what do you want to do? I'll do my best to help you. Hiss. 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 However, what Chen Hao didn't know was that the true source of despair for Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru wasn't what he thought. Instead, it came from his mental support. Patriarch Limitless. Don't worry, senior brother. As long as the modification is successful, there's still hope. There's always a way out. Even if the modification isn't successful, we might not really die. Chen Hao's handsome face shone with absolute confidence as he spoke. Even hiss. 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 Even hiss. Hiss. I believe in you. Hiss. 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 He really couldn't bear to discourage this junior brother of his, who'd surprised him so many times. Even though they'd only known each other for a short time and there was a huge age gap between them, it didn't affect his admiration and respect for this junior brother of his. Hiss. 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 If he had been born 1,000 years earlier, or even 100 years earlier, the Wuji star would have been able to escape this crisis, right? If he had truly grown up, the Wuji star would have been even stronger than it was at its peak, right? What a pity. Hiss. 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 Senior brother, I want to truly understand the structure of the silver wing. I can't do that just by relying on my mind. Therefore, I want to fuse with you. Give me control. Alright, no problem. Hiss. Hiss. As he spoke, an extremely powerful aura was emitted from between his brows. As it neared Chen Hao's forehead, it suddenly became extremely gentle. Qi. Chen Hao also sent out his mind to meet Heavenly Lord Yuanru. Boom. Even though Heavenly Venerate Yuanru had restrained himself to the extreme, Chen Hao's mind still shuddered when their minds merged. In an instant, Chen Hao's perception expanded infinitely. At the same time, the massive and complex silver wing was completely under Chen Hao's control. Slowly closing his eyes, Chen Hao sensed every inch of space, every component, and every rune on the silver wing. Time slowly passed. The most difficult part was the incomparably complicated runes. Even with Chen Hao's comprehension ability, it was not something that could be done in a short period of time if he wanted to completely understand the mysteries of these runes. Although these runes were an existence that the old god despised, that was the old god. As the spirit of an ancient spiritual treasure, the old god had always been restricted by the restrictions of the ancient spiritual treasure. Before Chen Hao's cultivation realm and fusion with him met the requirements, he couldn't help Chen Hao do things that were beyond his level. Therefore, the only thing he could rely on was Chen Hao's own comprehension to decipher and then modify it. The only thing the old god could help Chen Hao was to follow Chen Hao's instructions and perfectly refine what he needed. At most, he could instill some high-level runes that Chen Hao could understand. So that's how it is. This is not bad. Okay, continue. Chen Hao was immersed in deciphering the mysteries of the runes. From one piece to another, a more complete system was gradually formed in his mind. This feeling was very good. Chen Hao forgot about the passage of time. It was as if he had returned to the time when he was on Earth, immersed in some kind of cutting-edge technological problem. Although these were runes that had nothing to do with technology, every single breakthrough of comprehension caused Chen Hao to be excited, and his inspiration and passion were even stronger. Even he himself hadn't noticed that his soul seemed to be undergoing some sort of baptism at this moment, and it became even more crystalline and translucent. At the same time, his body also emitted a strange aura. It was an aura that didn't belong to cultivation at all, even though Heavenly Lord Yuanru's mind was one with Qin Hao's, or it could be said that he had lent his psychic power, essence, energy, and spirit to Qin Hao. He didn't notice at all. Heavenly Lord Yuanru only felt that Qin Hao's target was changing faster and faster. He could tell that the places he passed were all places that Qin Hao already understood and controlled. This made him feel even more sorry for Qin Hao. It's been 5 days. At this speed, Master still needs 3 more days, right? I hope he can make it in time. Unlike Heavenly Lord Yuanru, the old god was still waiting nervously. The seemingly peaceful present was facing a life and death crisis at every moment. Every minute and every second was extremely precious. This was a race against time, a race against the heavens. Chapter 537. Yes, that's it. Ha, so that's how it is, madness, insanity. Qin Hao, whose entire mind had fused into his comprehension and research, seemed to have entered a state of madness, and the aura that didn't belong to a cultivator emitted from his body grew stronger and stronger. The expression on his handsome face changed. Sometimes his eyebrows were furrowed, and sometimes he was ecstatic. This state of madness shocked Heavenly Master Yuanru. It was as if his mind was under the control of Qin Hao. Rumble. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. For a full 7 days, Qin Hao maintained the same posture. Only his expression changed. Suddenly, his mind became clear. Accompanied by his excited laughter, his mind was integrated into every corner of the silver wing without any hindrance at this moment. What made Heavenly Master Yuanru's eyes widen in horror was that his mind was actually completely left behind by Qin Hao. What did this mean? Qin Hao, a cultivator in the advanced stage of the human celestial stage, had relied on his own strength to control the silver wing, which could only be controlled by a master in the heaven celestial stage. This was absolutely inconceivable, but Qin Hao had indeed done it. This was because the buzzing sound from the silver wing, as well as the aura from all the runes that suddenly began to circulate, proved everything. Little junior brother has really comprehended all the runes of the formation. Otherwise, with his cultivation base, he would not be able to control it. Heavenly Master Yuanru stared at Qin Hao, his heart full of shock and horror. He knew very well that there was no other reason except for this reason. Just like him, he controlled the silver wing completely with his own cultivation base and forcibly controlled it. Qin Hao, on the other hand, had completely comprehended the mystery of the runes of the formation. With a small amount of strength, he could do what he could only do with great effort. This was a bit similar to Qin Hao's carving technique, which was to create strength through ingenuity. Senior brother. Let me borrow your true core strength. After laughing maniacally, Qin Hao didn't waste any time. He looked at Heavenly Venerate Yuanru, who was still in shock. Good, good. Empyrean Primal Origin regained his composure and said, good, good. Empyrean Primal Origin slammed his palm down on Qin Hao's life gate. Vigorous and pure true essence immediately surged into Qin Hao's body. Qi. 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 Qin Hao abruptly closed his eyes. At the same time, he became one with Old God's mind, merging it into his mind and the entire silver wing. First, modify the power system. This is my plan. Give me the strongest runes that you can give me and help me comprehend them. Crash. While communicating with his mind, Qin Hao condensed a pattern and passed on the desired effect to Old God. Alright, I'll try my best. With Old God's knowledge and experience, coupled with Qin Hao's understanding of Earth's technology, it was easy for him to accept Qin Hao's theory and understand Qin Hao's intentions. Soon, Qin Hao's mind turned into a real refining cauldron. All kinds of parts that Qin Hao needed were born. At the same time, as Qin Hao comprehended the runes provided by Old God, complicated runes began to appear on the parts. Back on the Wuji planet, Qin Hao had told Qin Shui and the others that he would refine a magical treasure that would shock them in the future. Chen Hao had always thought that day was very far away. He had never imagined that at this moment, when his life was in great danger, he would be forced to start. Empyrean primal origin felt his true core strength dissipating rapidly and surging into Chen Hao's body. It had to be said that the number of times Empyrean primal origin had been shocked by Chen Hao during this period of time was more than the total number of times he had been shocked in the past 10,000 years. Now, it was hard for him not to be shocked again. All he saw was Chen Hao in front of him and felt his own energy surging into Chen Hao's body. However, Chen Hao, who was only at the later stage of the human celestial stage, was like a bottomless pit, absorbing his energy. Such a vast amount of energy could definitely make an Earth celestial stage expert explode. However, when it reached Chen Hao's body, it was like mud sinking into the sea, disappearing without a trace. Empyrean Yuanru guessed that this energy must have fused into Chen Hao's mind space. But, he couldn't figure out just how powerful Chen Hao's mind space was, or how Chen Hao had such powerful control over it, able to control such boundless energy. Empyrean primal origin did not know how long this situation would last. Therefore, when he felt his energy could not make ends meet, he began to refine and devour celestial core strength crystals. He even separated a strand of his true core strength and mind to borrow all the celestial core strength crystals from all the cultivators on the silver wing, especially those at the Earth celestial stage. He had no choice. He did not have many celestial core strength crystals left. It was only enough for him to maintain his consumption and drive the silver wing to the Asianing planet. Therefore, he had to borrow. Although these cultivators did not know what was going on and Empyrean primal origin did not explain what was going on, given his status on the Wuji planet, they had no reason to refuse and would not keep anything to themselves. Even though Empyrean primal origin was refining primal core strength crystals with all his might, the speed of his recovery was still far behind Chen Hao's consumption. Junior brother, my true core strength is almost depleted. In less than 4 hours, Empyrean primal origin had to remind the focused Chen Hao. Oh. Then you rest first and recover as soon as possible. We have to complete the transformation as soon as possible. There's not much time left. Chen Hao said with a frown. He was a little depressed. He had done everything he could, but he had forgotten that Empyrean primal origin's true core strength was not inexhaustible, it would take time. And what he lacked most now was time. Senior brother, I have the best spirit spring here. It should be able to speed up your recovery. Chen Hao hesitated for a few seconds and did not dare to hold back any longer. Splash! In an instant, the spirit spring gushed out of Chen Hao's mind and surrounded Empyrean primal origin. The spirit spring had been improved by Chen Hao's cultivation level and the old god's transformation. It could no longer be compared to the spirit spring of the past. The old god had transformed the energy it contained into the true core strength of an immortal venerable. Although it was still inferior to the true core strength of a heavenly immortal venerable, it was so pure that Empyrean primal origin could directly absorb it. He only needed to condense it to replenish his true core strength. There was no doubt that this could greatly speed up the recovery of Empyrean primal origin. Empyrean primal origin took a deep breath. Under the influence of Chen Hao, his silent and despairing heart seemed to have been revived. Inexplicably, because of this junior brother, who was only at the later stage of the human celestial stage, had rekindled his fighting spirit. He also became nervous and excited. Boom! Exalted celestial Yuanru tossed aside all reservations and pride. Without hesitation, he tore apart his Taoist robes and became naked. Then, he came into intimate contact with the pure spirit spring water, refining and absorbing it. He was recovering at an almost frenzied pace. On one side, it was a race against time. On the other side, they were leisurely flying aircrafts that were several times more powerful than the Silver Wing, shuttling through the chaotic space. In the Yang city of the second world. You are a disciple of the Wuji star, right? Yes. What do you want? Let me ask you a few questions. Answer truthfully. Don't think that I can't do anything to you just because this is the second world. Did you see the expressions of the people around you when I caught you just now? They were scared. do you know who I am? I am a direct descendant of the Shiman family, one of the 5 big families of the Yang star. And I am the future head of the family. It is very easy for me to take your life. Shiman Feng's arrogant and domineering voice came out of his mouth. Beside him stood a few fierce-looking lackeys. The young man who had been caught by force looked extremely embarrassed. He was a little angry at first, but when he heard Shiman Feng's arrogant words, he did not dare to show any dissatisfaction. The situation was compelling. He had heard about the situation of the Wuji star in the vast universe galaxy. In the face of such a powerful force, he could not imagine the consequences if he did not bow his head. After all, he did not really know the situation of the Yang star. Very well. A wise man submits to circumstances. Tell me, have you not reached the Yang star yet? No. Are you on the Wuji star now, or have you set off? Are you on your way? Yes. I am on my way to the Yang star. The young man frowned slightly. He did not understand why Shiman Feng would ask such a question. He had never offended anyone before. That's great. When he heard the young man's words, Shiman Feng's typical playboy expression suddenly changed. He seemed to be very excited. He took the young man's hand and led him to a cultivation room. At the same time, he told the people around him, "You can all leave now. I want to have an intimate talk with this little brother." Ha! Yes, yes. Boss, have fun. Ha ha ha. Although the group of guys was baffled, when they heard Shiman Feng's words, they all put on wretched expressions. They were secretly excited. They were excited that their boss had finally regained his former demeanor. After all, since the last time he saw Chen Hao, Shiman Feng seemed to have changed into a different person. He did not even care about his underlings, who had a special relationship with him. And now, even though they had found a new favorite, they were still able to see the glory of the past and reignited their hope. What do you want? The young man was not a fool. He faintly felt a gust of cold wind blow over his butt. He was so scared that he spoke in horror. Bro, don't be nervous. I want to talk to you about something very important. It's about the lives of you and all the people on the aircraft heading to the Yang star. I couldn't find Brother Chen Hao or Heavenly Master Yuanru. I can only look for people like you who are with them. Shiman Feng pulled the young man to the cultivation room with a wretched expression and transmitted his voice to him. His voice was solemn, serious, and sincere. How is this possible? How is this possible? I don't want to die. I don't want to die. In the Silver Wing, a young man at the initial stage of the human celestial stage suddenly stood up. As if he was too frightened, he roared, "Heavenly Master Yuanru, Heavenly Master Yuanru. I have something important to report. Can you give me a monthly ticket?" Chapter 538. What's the matter? Heavenly Lord Yuanru bellowed with a hint of anger. At the same time, under the surprised and confused gazes of the crowd, he directly sent out a beam of energy to bring the youth who seemed to have lost control of his emotions into the control room. Everyone, don't panic. He must have been provoked in the second world, senior brother. Chen Hao interrupted Heavenly Venerate Yuanru. Senior brother, we're still not fast enough. It's too slow. I think we shouldn't hide it from them. There's strength in numbers. It's good to succeed, but if we don't succeed, we'll die without regrets. What do you say? This. All right. Since junior brother says so, we'll do as you say. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru said after a moment of silence. Indeed, even though he had fully recovered, he still couldn't satisfy Chen Hao's needs. Most of the cultivators present had just advanced to the early stage of human immortal, but there were many of them. If they all joined in, it would be of great help. Junior brother, why don't you say it? I'll take the time to recover. All right, Chen Hao replied as he glanced at Heavenly Venerate Yuanru, who was naked and immersed in the spirit spring. If it were any other time, Chen Hao would have laughed. Damn, This was a high and mighty figure on the Wuji star, but now, he had put down all his airs. Wait. I have important news to report. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru, Brother Chen. This news concerns our life and death. Although the young man who was frightened by Shimen Feng was shrouded in a mysterious black fog and couldn't see Heavenly Venerate Yuanru and Qin Hao's faces, he could hear their conversation. It seemed that the two already knew about their current predicament, but they were hiding it from all the cultivators in the cabin. Say it. Qin Hao said directly. Although he didn't want to admit it, he was almost certain that this news had something to do with Shimen Feng. It's like this. I met Shimen Feng of the Shimen family in the second world. He's your good brother. The young man naturally wouldn't say that he was forcibly captured by Shimen Feng. He was looking for Brother Chen and Heavenly Venerate Yuanru, but you didn't land in the second world. He had no choice but to let me pass the message. This is a matter of great importance. He said that the Shimen clan and the forces from the other 4 planets have already split into 4 groups and are rushing towards us through 4 different passages. We also have no way to retreat. No matter if it is military strength or aircraft, they are much stronger than us. Is that so? Qin Hao's frowning slightly. Although he and Heavenly Venerate Yuanru's words, hearing it, anger. What did Shimen Feng say? Is he telling us that we'll die? No. Shimen Feng said that he doesn't want to see you get killed no matter what. So, he hopes that we can take the main passage and meet the Shimen family. He said that you and Heavenly Venerate Yuanru must believe him. The leader of the Shimen family is his third uncle, Shimen Luyun, who dotes on him the most. When the time comes, he'll have a way to save us. Other than that, we have no chance of survival. Alright, I got it. Let's not talk about whether what he said is true, but our life and death must be in our own hands. Senior brother, let him into the cabin. I'll tell him everything. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru responded and sent the young man back into the cabin with a wave of energy. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru didn't think there was any problem with the news brought by the young man. Although he didn't know why Shimen Feng had such a good relationship with Qin Hao, he knew that this time, it was Shimen Feng who revealed it to Qin Hao in advance. Just based on this, it was enough to prove that Shimen Feng wasn't tricking them, but really wanted to help them. Everyone. Qin Hao's figure appeared in the cabin. His handsome face shone with an unprecedentedly serious expression. What? In the cabin, 14 Earth Celestial Realm experts, 69 human Celestial Realm experts, including the sisters and Bailey Ningbing, who had a deep grudge against Qin Hao, all looked at Qin Hao at this moment. Although they didn't know what had happened for the time being, from the young man's panic just now, they could faintly feel an oppressive atmosphere. In particular, the one who came out of the control room to speak was Qin Hao. Heavenly Venerate Yuanru didn't want to alarm you. The space storm that he mentioned didn't exist. In fact, what we're about to face is the 5 forces pursuit. Now, we've reached the final moment of life and death. Crash, what? Countless people's expressions changed and they cried out in alarm. Every one of them is very strong, much stronger than us. There are only 4 roads leading to the Yang planet, and they've all been blocked. To be exact, they're approaching us at a fast speed. We have no way out. Even if we go back, we'll be caught. Fuck. Then let's fight. Let's fight. Yes, let's fight. The hot-blooded young man said sternly. Fight? How can we fight? This is a chaotic space. Let alone a human celestial, even the 14 Earth Celestial Realm experts here don't have the strength to fight. Once we step out of the Silver Wing, we won't even have a chance to survive in this chaotic space. Then what should we do? Wait for death. Bailey Ningbing put aside her hatred for Qin Hao and asked with a frown. She didn't want to die. She believed that she still had a bright future, especially after she had comprehended the immortality essence through the chaotic space by chance. She firmly believed in this point. The only way is to make our silver-winged everlasting even stronger, be it in terms of speed, defense, or attack, all of them. Only in this way can we have a chance to survive. As you can see, Heavenly Venerate Yuenru is trying his best to modify our silver wing. But, time is of the essence and his energy consumption is too fast. So, he needs all of our help. If you don't want to die, transfer your energy to me. Transfer it to you? Yes. Heavenly Venerate Yuenru has lent me his magic weapon. It can quickly refine everyone's energy and transfer it to him. It's that simple. Also, your recovery depends on the supreme spiritual spring provided by Heavenly Venerate Yuenru. As for clothes, wear as little as possible so that you can recover faster. Splash! As soon as Qin Hao finished speaking, the surging spiritual spring gushed out and filled the cabin in a moment. At this point, there was no need to worry about the cost. The moment they sensed the supreme spiritual spring, all the cultivators present, except for the sisters, were slightly surprised. Even the rich second-generation Bailey Ningbing and the 14 Earth Celestial Realm experts who had seen the world, were shocked. As for the others, they were even more shocked. They couldn't imagine the value of the supreme spiritual spring. Some of them couldn't help but have the urge to put the supreme spiritual spring into their storage space. Fortunately, they were just thinking about it. Earth Celestial Realm, 14 of you together. Human Celestial Realm, all of you together. Don't worry that I can't bear it. With my magic weapon, even 2 Celestial Realm experts won't be a problem. Qin Hao said. What are you waiting for? Do you want to die? Seeing that they were a little dazed, Qin Hao had to yell at them sternly. Okay, we'll go first. The 14 Earth Celestial Realm experts immediately rushed to Qin Hao. Swoosh, 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 streams of vigorous and pure true core strength with different auras gushed toward Qin Hao's Mingmen. Activated at full power. Qin Hao ordered again. Boom, boom, boom. Old God, let's go. Qin Hao sensed the majestic and pure true core strength of the 14 Earth Celestial Realm experts. He was not afraid at all. If it were an ordinary person, this kind of mixed energy would directly explode his body. However, Qin Hao was not even afraid of the chaotic space. Of course, he was not afraid of this. Phew. Little junior brother has done a good job. When did I become so powerful? In the control room, Heavenly Lord Yuenru, who was trying his best to recover, thought to himself after hearing Qin Hao's words. However, he did not blame Qin Hao for doing this. After all, they could accept that he was the one who took the blame. If they knew that everything was controlled by Qin Hao, it would be too shocking. Of course, more importantly, it was not certain that they would cooperate with Qin Hao. In the control room, everyone was paying attention to Qin Hao's every move. In the spiritual spring, they were trying their best to recover to their peak state. At this time, although they felt the crisis, it was still difficult for them to accept it. They felt that everything that had happened was unreal. They did not feel the crisis from the bottom of their hearts. Therefore, although they followed Qin Hao's instructions, they still felt relieved. However, the sisters, who knew Qin Hao's trump cards, knew that Qin Hao was not an alarmist. What a powerful devouring ability. This Qin Hao is not simple. He is only at the human celestial stage. Even if he has Heavenly Lord Yuenru's magic treasure, he needs to have enough strength to control it. We have 14 Earth celestial stage powerhouses instilling energy into him at the same time, but he can control it easily. That's amazing. The 14 Earth celestial stage powerhouses launched their attacks at the same time. At the beginning, none of them used their full strength. However, after being urged by Qin Hao several times, they had pushed themselves to the limit. That was why they were so shocked. At the same time, the surrounding human celestial stage powerhouses were also shocked by the scene in front of them. Bailey Ningbing pursed her thin lips and stared at Qin Hao fiercely. After 15 minutes, the 14 Earth celestial stage powerhouses were all pale. Apparently, they had reached their limit. All human celestial stage powerhouses, together. Try your best to recover. Chen Hao ordered directly. Swish, swish, swish. Instantly, more than 60 human celestial stage powerhouses started to inject their energy into Chen Hao's vital gate without hesitation. The 14 powerhouses at the Earth's celestial stage hid aside and took off their Taoist robes. The men only wore underwear, while the women tried their best to expose the skin on their arms and legs. Of course, even so, they still released protective energy to cover their bodies. Chapter 539. No one had the nerve to take off their clothes and use their supernatural powers to conceal themselves. Only cultivators with similar cultivation bases or cultivators with lower cultivation bases could be concealed. Even if they knew that no one would have the nerve to peek under such circumstances, they still had to be on guard, right? Faster, faster. Chen Hao's urging voice could be heard from the cabin. Humph, if it weren't for this critical moment. I would definitely. Bailey Ningbing's eyes flickered as she felt her true yuan surge into Chen Hao's life gate. She knew very well that if she played dirty and turned the energy she poured into Chen Hao's body into an offensive ultimate technique, the blow to Chen Hao would definitely be fatal. After all, Chen Hao was completely defenseless at this moment. He was completely at her mercy, but this thought only flashed in her mind for a moment before she forcefully suppressed it. What she wanted was to truly defeat Chen Hao and ruthlessly trample him beneath her feet. What she wanted was to conquer a peerless genius whose status, reputation, and fame surpassed Chen Hao in all aspects. She wanted to ruthlessly slap Chen Hao's face so that no one could disdain her, and even more so, no one could casually trample on her dignity. However, this was only the opinion of this absolutely narrow-minded and selfish little girl. Unfortunately, she didn't even realize that she was wrong. Chen Hao was a little depressed. 14 Earth Immortals and over 60 human immortals combined couldn't even defeat Heavenly Venerable Yuanru, a heaven immortal. From this, it could be seen how strong an expert at the peak of the advanced heaven immortal stage was. The only consolation was that Heavenly Venerable Yuanru was almost fully recovered when the 60 human immortals ran out of energy. Therefore, when the sisters ran out of energy and couldn't hold on any longer, Chen Hao directly announced that he would transfer energy to Heavenly Venerable Yuanru. After everyone recovered, he would enter the control room and devour Heavenly Venerable Yuanru's rich and pure energy again. The intensive and rapid refinement of various parts designed by Chen Hao was carried out in an orderly manner. Once these parts were completed, Chen Hao, who had full control of Silver Wing, only needed to perform a few simple assembly steps to integrate them into Silver Wing and bring them to great use. Of course, this was only in theory. Whether or not he would succeed in the end, only Chen Hao himself would know. Junior brother, when you're done, should we choose the main path? Maybe Shimen Feng really has a way to help us. Shimen Feng is one of the heirs of the Shimen family, so he should have a lot of say. Heavenly Venerable Yuanru, who had already made a choice in despair because of Patriarch Wuji's message, now was once again excited. Ah! Senior brother, you believe that Shimen Feng is a good-for-nothing? Even if he is the only one, he can't change his family's decision. Shimen Feng, Wuji Yuanru, Wuji, Wuji, Wuji 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 Wuji, Wuji Wuji Wuji, Wuji. Wuji Wuji, Wuji. After all, they are the strongest among the 5 superpowers, and they have been coveting our Wuji star for a long time. Chen Hao said without hesitation. Although it was somewhat against his will. He was not sure about other things, but at least, he was sure that Shimen Feng, this disgusting guy, really wanted to help him. There was no doubt about that. But he would rather not have such a thing. It was too fucking heart-wrenching, especially if he was really helped by this guy. What should he do? Of course, he could not betray his own body and mind, right? I'm a good, upright man, and I've never been gay. He did not have any potential or desire to be gay. Therefore, he could not owe Shimen Feng this favor. Otherwise, he would be too embarrassed to fight with him when they met in the future. You're right. It's up to you. Anyway, the Silver Wing is completely under your control now, and you can do whatever you want more than me. Okay. According to the current progress, we can complete the transformation in another 15 days. I hope we can make it in time. Chen Hao said and devoted himself to the tempering. Qi. In the deep and vast chaotic space, a stream of light spiraled forward at an amazing speed. This flying machine was 10 times the size of the Silver Wing Infinity. With such a spiral trajectory, it was undoubtedly a carpet search. But even so, its speed was several times faster than the Silver Wing Infinity. This was the force that was second only to the Shiman clan among the 5 superpowers that intercepted Chen Hao and the others. It was also the force that set off first. Their flying machine, the Black Hawk, was not inferior to the Shiman clan's flying machine in terms of speed and defense. The only thing that was lacking was the detection system. This was also the reason why they were arranged to be second only to the main path after the 5 superpowers united. In the control room, the 2 heaven immortals stared at the huge control screen with their hands behind their backs. Senior brother, according to our calculation, we should be able to reach them in about 4 days. Of course, if they are on this path. No, our calculation is just the original calculation. If the Shiman clan and the other 3 superpowers are as careful as us and are not discovered by the Infinity Ancestor, we will meet them in about 5 or 6 days on the main path. But now. First, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru and the others might not be on this path. Second, they might be hiding somewhere and waiting for rescue. Third, they might turn back and stall for time. So, it's not up to us to decide when we will meet them or whether we will meet them. Luckily, the Shiman clan and the others have the same goal as us, which is to kill them. So, it doesn't matter if we meet them or not. In short, they can't escape. At most, Heavenly Venerable Yuanru's primordial spirit can escape. Oh, then it's very likely that we have nothing to do with it. I was thinking of taking the opportunity to get some slaves for the little beauties on the Infinity Star. So boring. If I had known this, I wouldn't have come. Senior brother, you can do it yourself, haha, junior brother, you're an expert at the peak of the late stage of the Heaven Immortal realm. It's not a good thing to be so greedy, the older you get, the more energetic you get, right? Haha. Besides, the girls on the Infinity Star are indeed very attractive. Their beauty is really outstanding. They're recognized as the top maids in our vast universe galaxy. The price is frighteningly high. If we can get a few of them, we'll be proud of ourselves, won't we? That's true. The Shiman clan has taken a fancy to the great wealth on the Infinity Star. That's why they didn't hesitate to lower themselves. We can't compete with them. 50 years later, it'll be enough if we can get a spot on the main planet of the Yang planet. The 2 Heaven Immortal Realm experts didn't know that the Silver-Winged Infinity was on the path they were on. It was just that there was a slight deviation from their original estimate. This was because the Silver-Winged Infinity had already hidden in the star fragments and stopped flying. So, it would take at least 8 or 9 days for them to meet. Third uncle, how much longer? On the main path, Shiman Feng walked into the control room of the Shiman clan's aircraft and asked. It's hard to say. If they dare to stay on the main path and don't turn back, we should meet in 4 or 5 days. What, can't stand the loneliness? It's indeed quite boring, haha. Third uncle is going to show you something interesting. What is it? Haha. A woman, a very beautiful young girl, and her talent is also very good. Not only can you collect the best primordial yin, but if you practice dual cultivation, you'll also benefit a lot. Look, if you're interested, I'll have to make a decision. Qi. As he spoke, Shiman Luyun sent out a beam of energy. Suddenly, a lifelike phantom appeared in front of Shiman Feng. Shiman Feng, who was about to say that he wasn't interested, suddenly shut his mouth. Bailey Ningbing. Little Feng, you know her. Shiman Luyun was quite surprised when he heard Shiman Feng call out the phantom's name. Not really, I've only seen her once, oh. This isn't your style. Why, are you not interested? Third uncle, why are you concerned about these things at this time? Shiman Feng might be a dandy, but he was still very smart. He vaguely guessed something. Ha! Among the rescue team sent by the limitless ancestor, Bailey Ningbing's grandfather, who is also the palace master of the limitless demon palace, one of the 3 strongest forces in the limitless star. This old fellow is quite sensible. He knows that they're definitely going to die, so he specially contacted me. Is that so? Why did he contact us? Of course he wants to rely on our shaman family. His condition is that he only wants his granddaughter, Bailey Ningbing, to live. He also promised that Bailey Ningbing can become the Tao companion of any direct descendant of our family. And he's willing to lead all his trusted subordinates of the limitless demon palace to become our shaman family's slaves. This is a good thing, third uncle. Did third uncle not agree? Shaman Feng said excitedly. This was indeed good news for him. Firstly, he was sure that Bailey Ningbing was with Chen Hao. If he wanted Bailey Ningbing, he had to capture her alive. This meant that there were unlimited possibilities. Isn't this all up to you? Although this old fellow is also at the peak of the late stage of the heavenly immortal realm and can be a great help to our family, his condition is that Bailey Ningbing can keep her freedom and not be a slave. She can only be the Tao companion of a direct descendant of our family. So, if you like it, third uncle will agree to it. If you don't like it, then it doesn't matter. He's just an ordinary heavenly immortal. Our family doesn't lack. I like it. Third uncle agrees to it. When I saw this Bailey Ningbing, I was a little moved. Unfortunately, third uncle was in a hurry to get me to set off and only asked for a name. Oh. In that case, the 2 of you are fated. Very good. Since you like it, then third uncle will agree to it. Chapter 540. In the Second World. Shaman Luyun asked Shaman Feng to join her. After notifying Bailey Ningbing's grandfather, Guan Nanchao, they went to the notary office of the city lord's mansion of Yang City. The notary office of the city lord's mansion represented the highest authority on the Yang planet. Once a contract was signed there, it would be restricted by the laws of the Yang planet. No one could violate it. Otherwise, they would be punished by the ruler of the Yang planet. Grandfather. In Yang City, in a palace that was obviously more than 1 level higher than the residence of Chen Hao and the other girls, Bailey Ningbing hurried over. When she saw the stalwart figure anxiously waiting at the door, she immediately cried out in pleasant surprise. Lil Bing, you're finally here. You've worried me to death. Come, let's go to the notary office. Guan Nanchao didn't say anything and directly pulled the confused Bailey Ningbing towards the nearby transmission array. Grandfather, why are we going to the notary office? Don't you know that our silver wing is in danger? Bailey Ningbing asked. When Chen Hao announced that the silver wing was in danger, she found it very strange. With her grandfather's status, he should have known, so why didn't he inform her? Was he afraid that she would worry if she knew, or was there another reason? Moreover, Chen Hao didn't say much, and Heavenly Venerable Yuanru didn't even show his face, for the sake of transformation. That was why she took advantage of her recovery to log into the second world again to ask her grandfather about the specific situation. She didn't expect that as soon as she logged in, she would receive several messages from her grandfather asking her to meet up immediately. Of course I know. That's why I asked you to go to the notary office. Sigh. This is your only chance at survival. I have no choice but to do this. Otherwise, you'll die at the hands of the 5 forces like Chen Hao and the others. Grandfather, what do you mean? Although Bailey Ningbing didn't understand the situation, she breathed a sigh of relief when she heard Guan Nanchao's words. That was right. Her grandfather doted on her the most and had placed all his hopes on her. There was no reason for him to ignore her life or death. Moreover, she believed in her grandfather's ability. For example, his grandfather's hidden wealth was not something that Limitless Immortal Palace's palace master and the others could compare to. Guan Nanchao then told Bailey Ningbing about the irreversible crisis the Silver Wing was facing, as well as his decision to contact the Shiman family. Hearing this, Bailey Ningbing was dumbstruck, unable to speak for a long time. Lil Bing, grandfather knows that you are very ambitious. A small direct descendant of the Shiman family is nothing in your eyes. But now, we have no other choice. The decline of the limitless ancestor can no longer save you. We can only rely on ourselves. And now, this is the only way. Don't blame your grandfather. Grandfather. How can I blame you? But for me. It's okay. No matter what, Grandpa was still an expert at the peak of the late-stage heaven immortal realm. Even if he was a servant, he still had a certain status. As long as you can master that secret technique, there will be a day when you can surpass the Shiman clan. At that time, Grandfather will naturally regain his freedom. Although it's a little unfair to you, but isn't the Shiman clan also your springboard? Do you understand Grandfather's painstaking efforts? Grandfather. I understand. That's good. Let's go. Later, be obedient and try not to let the other party see anything strange about us. The situation is pressing. No matter what the other party does, we have to endure it. Understand? But Grandfather. Heavenly Venerable Yuenru is doing his best to modify the silver wing. He said there's still hope. Modify the silver wing. With just him. Don't be naive. The patriarch has already given up. Heavenly Venerable Yuenru is just comforting you out of guilt. When the other party arrives, even he will have to abandon his physical body and escape, Guan Nanchao said. There was one more thing that Guan Nanchao did not say, and that was that the limitless ancestor had handed over all the power of the limitless star to Heavenly Venerable Yuenru, who was destined to only be able to escape back to the nascent soul realm. This was also one of the important reasons why he colluded with the Shiman clan. He was an ambitious person, and had always been. Otherwise, where did his enormous wealth come from? This was a secret. What did it mean that he could collude with Shiman Luyun at this time? This was also a secret. A secret that even the limitless ancestor did not know. And he still had his greatest secret, and that was his granddaughter, Bailey Ningbing. She was his hope. 4 hours later. The Shiman clan, which was the most powerful clan, sent out 4 orders to the other 4 aircrafts. Shameless. Motherfucker, why did the Shiman clan change their strategy at this time? What else can they rely on? Strength. Strength that we can't afford to offend. Junior brother, in any case, our goal is only to kill that Chen Hao. Nothing else matters. Since they've decided, we'll just obey and save us the effort. Senior brother, I still want to get a few maids. We can't just agree like that. No matter how strong they are, they can't let us come here for nothing, right? That's not a problem. I believe the Shiman clan isn't that overbearing. Since they want to capture him alive, we'll naturally have a share of all the captives. Let's speed up. Since we've already confirmed that he's on our path, we should lock onto him first. Chi. The Black Hawk, which was still spiraling forward, suddenly turned into a stream of light, locked onto a direction, and began to move forward at a terrifying speed. At the same time, the aircraft of the Shiman clan and the other 3 aircraft on the main path all changed their course and accelerated toward the same target. Chen Hao and the others didn't know that the black star fragment they were hiding in had been exposed because of one of their own. He and everyone, except for a certain person who already knew, were still working together to survive. Master, the most complicated power system has been completed. Should we integrate it first or continue to refine the other parts? Old God asked. Install it first. Perhaps it was his natural instinct for danger. Although success was imminent, Chen Hao felt his heart palpitate from time to time. This feeling made him feel faintly uneasy. Therefore, at this moment, he would rather stop refining and waste some time to integrate the refined power system parts into the silver wing. Although it wouldn't take much time to integrate with the silver wing, it wasn't something that ordinary true essence could do. After all, even if Chen Hao had comprehended all the runes of the silver wing, he still had to dismantle a part of it if he wanted to integrate it. This required more powerful and high-level energy. In other words, it had to be the true essence of a late-stage heaven celestial expert. Therefore, when Heavenly Lord Yuanru recovered to his peak state, Qinhao directly stopped absorbing everyone's energy and entered the control room. Senior brother, I've completed part of the refining. I want to integrate it with the silver wing first. It's safer this way. Okay, I'll listen to you, Heavenly Lord Yuanru said. Well, after this part of the fusion, our silver wing can instantly accelerate to about 20 times its original speed. The duration depends on the endurance of our materials. I'm not sure about the specifics. So powerful? This is only under normal circumstances. If we can collect more high-level materials. Of course, if our true essence is stronger and our realm is higher, then it's really powerful. Now, this is all we can do. Senior brother, directly increase your strength to your peak state later and listen to my instructions. Okay. Swish. Qinhao's mind was running at full speed. His relatively weak true essence flowed into the power system of the silver wing with his mind. After confirming several key positions of the protection of the rune formation, Qinhao suddenly issued an order. Hiss. 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 In an instant, Heavenly Lord Yuanru's pure and majestic true essence turned into his most delicate and powerful strength. Like steel needles, it pierced into the key points of the protection formation that Qinhao had pointed out. Open for me. Qinhao shouted softly and activated the formation at the same time. Squeak. The all-out attack of an expert at the Earth's celestial stage couldn't damage it at all. An expert at the peak of the heaven celestial stage could at most damage it. Suddenly, the key points of the silver wing, which couldn't be broken, opened slowly like a door. Complex runes and strange objects appeared in front of the two of them. They were things that Empyrean Yuanru could not understand at all. Phew. Okay, I can do it myself. Swish. 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 Qinhao's hands were as fast as lightning. He skillfully and quickly sent out streams of energy. In an instant, countless strange-looking parts were dismantled. Heavenly Lord Yuanru was worried that Qinhao couldn't reassemble them, or that the parts refined by Qinhao couldn't be integrated. If it failed, the silver wing would be paralyzed. However, Heavenly Lord Yuanru didn't stop him. He didn't even voice his concerns. The result was basically doomed. What else could he say? Perhaps, his junior brother, who always surprised him and created miracles, could really do something that even the Infinity Ancestor, himself, and all the higher-ups of the Wuji Star couldn't do. Undoubtedly, this was what he hoped for the most. He really couldn't bear to leave this junior brother with unlimited potential. As long as he grew up normally, he was destined to bring glory to the Wuji Star. Unfortunately, he knew very well that he couldn't even protect himself now. The only thing he could be sure of was his primordial spirit. The five forces had already joined forces. Where could he, a heaven immortal, escape in the face of so many heaven immortals? He didn't follow the Infinity Ancestor's instructions and make the most obvious choice, which was to escape immediately upon receiving the Infinity Ancestor's order. Because he couldn't do it. The anger and frustration in his heart, as well as the feelings he had for his junior brother Qinhao and the hundreds of young men and women on the Wuji Star who had grown up under his watch, made him unable to be so heartless. The effort he had put in for the Wuji Star was far from what the Infinity Ancestor, who had given him authority, could imagine. Therefore, he had to wait. Wait for the other forces to come, wait for the real desperate situation, then he would leave. Although this was meaningless, at least he had a clear conscience. At least, even if his junior brother and the others died, they would know that he had done his best. Chapter 541. Dismantle, reassemble, fuse. Heavenly Lord Yuanru stared blankly as Qinhao took out the newly refined parts that were of a different color from the original parts due to the different materials used. Then, he reassembled them one by one into the new parts, fitting them together seamlessly and precisely without any errors. From this, it could be confirmed that Qinhao's modification this time had definitely gone through careful planning. But in fact, Qin Hao had only borrowed his power to open the sealing rune array in the control room when he was about to fuse them. Phew. It's done. 4 hours later, Qin Hao heaved a long sigh of relief. He had finally completed the modification of the power system. Buzz. With Qin Hao's mind, the entire silver wing suddenly began to vibrate violently. Under the protection of the rune arrays in the cabin, no one felt anything. But from the outside, one could see that the silver wing was emitting movements dozens of times stronger than when they had set off from the Wuji star. It was like an eagle that was about to spread its wings, full of power. This was purely a feeling. Only Qin Hao, who was in control of the silver wing, could have such a feeling. Buzz buzz buzz, the rumbling outside grew louder and louder under Qin Hao's control. Qin Hao carefully sensed the acceleration of the power system. He only stopped when Old God reminded him and looked at Heavenly Lord Yuanru, who was watching him. "How is it?" Heavenly Lord Yuanru asked expectantly. "It's not as effective as expected. The material of the star fragments is not good enough. It can instantly increase the speed to 18 times the original speed. That's the limit. If it goes any higher, the power system will collapse," Qin Hao said regretfully. 18 times. It's really 18 times? It shouldn't be wrong, Qin Hao said with a smile. Good, very good. If that's the case, although our speed may not be as fast as the Shiman clan's aircraft, it should not be much inferior to the other 4 forces. We still have hope of escaping. Junior brother, we can't wait any longer. We have to change our course now and go back. As long as we can return to the Wuji star, we'll be saved. Senior brother, the speed I'm talking about isn't the speed of a stable flight. It's the speed of an instantaneous increase. It can only last for a few minutes. Qin Hao said embarrassedly. It seemed that Heavenly Sovereign Yuanru had misunderstood him because he hadn't explained in detail at the start. What would happen if he could maintain 18 times the speed for a long time? He could easily escape from the other party's pursuit. Just like what Heavenly Lord Yuanru had said, they just needed to return. It would only take a few days to get back to the Wuji star. Then what's the use of it? Of course it's useful. You'll know when I've finished modifying the attack, defense, and detection systems. Alright, senior brother, you should recover first. I'll continue looking for them. Hiss. A million li away, a brilliant ray of light was gradually extinguished. It slowed down and withdrew its aura. It should be this star fragment. Lock onto the target and slowly approach it. Activate close-range exploration mode, Wang. A moment later, the image of the silver wing appeared on the huge screen. It's really here. Ha! Senior brother, if it weren't for the Shiman family's tyranny, we would have no problem capturing all of them alive. At most, Heavenly Lord Yuanru would have escaped. Without the Shiman family, we wouldn't have known the exact location. We'll admit it. I still feel that something is off. There's no way the Shiman family would have such specific information. Moreover, they know that Heavenly Lord Yuanru hasn't escaped. If I'm not mistaken, it should be the higher-ups of the Wuji star who leaked the information. I just don't know why they would want to destroy Heavenly Lord Yuanru at all costs. In the Black Hawk, 2 elites at the peak of the later stage of the human celestial stage looked at the silver wing on the screen. That's easy. Heavenly Lord Yuanru is the Wuji star's most valued disciple. He has controlled the Wuji star for many years. He must be the one who leaked the information. He wants to seize power. That should be it. Alright, I'll send a message to the Shiman family now. It's confirmed. We're just waiting for the net to be pulled in. If we can successfully destroy Heavenly Lord Yuanru and help Guan Nan Chao in private, it'll be perfect for him to temporarily control the Wuji star. Our Shiman family will have the Wuji star in advance. Third uncle, someone's here. Heavenly Lord Mo Wu and Heavenly Lord Black Dragon from the Black Rock planet have arrived. We'll be here in 1 day. When the other 3 families arrive, it'll be time for us to pull in the net. Ha ha ha. I didn't expect this operation to be so perfect. Third uncle, I really have to thank Guan Nan Chao for this. Oh. Shimin Feng replied. He stared at the screen and said, Third uncle, if we can capture all of them alive, then give me Chen Hao. I really want to know why this guy is so strong. He's just a member of the Wuji Star. How did he trigger the hidden condition of the Second World Arena? No way. Why? It's not that I don't want to promise you, but I can't. Chen Hao is someone the 4 families must kill. Even if they capture him alive, they must kill him on the spot. Otherwise, how can they be satisfied? Their goal is nothing more than to replace the Wuji Star. What difference does it make whether they kill Chen Hao or not? If I make Chen Hao my slave, he won't have any hope of being chosen by the higher-ups. If they don't want to, it shouldn't be a problem to give them some compensation, right? Little Feng. You're right, but they won't agree to this. Moreover, I can't do this. This time, we've made an agreement with them. Secondly, this Chen Hao is not someone who can be stopped by the mark of a slave. You should know that once a slave becomes a Daluo Jingxian, the mark of a slave will lose its effect. What will happen then? Don't talk about this, it's impossible. Let's not talk about other things. With the talent this kid has shown so far, there's no doubt he'll become a Daluo Jingxian. Otherwise, our Shimin family and the other 4 families wouldn't pay so much attention to him. Third uncle, how about this? Let me play with him for a while, okay? I'll plant the mark of a slave on him and I can get what I want from him. Third uncle, think about it. He's just a descendant of the Wuji Star. For him to have such high talent, he must have a big secret. It's a pity to kill such a genius. Give me a year and a half to learn what I need to learn from him. It won't be too late to kill him then. Third uncle, I have to become stronger as fast as possible. I'm serious. If you don't help me, the position of patriarch will definitely be snatched away by Shimin Guang in the future. Third uncle. Shimin Feng grabbed Shimin Liuyan's arm and said with a sincere and pitiful look. This. Alright, we'll discuss it with them. If it's possible, no, third uncle, it's fine even if we give them some benefits. We have to settle this. I have a feeling that if I can get Chen Hao's secret, my cultivation will definitely advance by leaps and bounds. Not to mention anything else, third uncle, have you heard that he won 10,000 consecutive victories in the arena and almost tied with the invincible immortal Dragon Yi? This isn't the most important thing. The most important thing is that he displayed 3 types of sword Dao will and an extremely exquisite battle talent. Third uncle, I won't hide it from you. The main reason I came here this time is because of this. Shimin Feng saw that his third uncle had relented and immediately increased his attack. Shimin Luyun was a little surprised as he stared at Shimin Feng. After a few seconds, his face revealed a doting and excited smile, and said, Little Feng, your current appearance is more like your third uncle. And, you have grown up, and also truly understand that strength is everything. This is very good. Third uncle promises you, but I'll give you at most 3 years. Yes, third uncle, you're even better to me than my father. Cough cough. A strange look flashed across Shimin Liuyan's eyes. He suppressed his excitement and said, Third uncle watched you grow up, so I naturally have to treat you well. Alright, you can go and cultivate now. Yes. Master, the detection component is complete. Integrate it first. Just as the Black Hawk locked onto the silver wing for 4 hours, the voice of Old God sounded in Chen Hao's mind. Yes. Without turning off the control core, Chen Hao only took 15 minutes to easily integrate the signal booster, amplification receiver, and other products that were a combination of technology and magical powers that he had refined himself into the Silver Wings detection system. Buzz. If nothing goes wrong, the detection range can be increased by 10 times, to about 5 million miles. Staring at the rapidly expanding image of the scenery on the control screen, Chen Hao, who was about to verify the effect of his modification, suddenly narrowed his eyes. There's an aircraft? Heavenly Lord Yuanru frowned and said in surprise. Target locked. Zoom in. Hiss. The red dot that appeared on the screen suddenly expanded rapidly. Immediately, a black aircraft appeared on the screen, and at the same time, information was displayed. Distance, 10342,000 miles, aircraft volume, 11,243*3241 by 1542, length, width, height. Just its volume alone was more than 10 times the size of the silver wing. Junior brother. We've been locked onto. Heavenly Lord Yuanru clenched his fists tightly, his eyes shining with a strong desire to fight and anger. Phew. Chen Hao also took a deep breath. His deep black eyes flickered as he said, they clearly have the strength to kill us. Moreover, it was a sneak attack, but they didn't make a move. Could it be that they want to capture us alive? And it's obvious that they've allied with the other major forces. Otherwise, there's no reason for them to do this. I'm afraid, they want to kill us for real. Heavenly Lord Yuanru shook his head and said. At this moment, his mood became very complicated. He looked at Chen Hao and said, Junior brother, if I give up on you now and escape alone, I still have a chance. If we wait any longer, I'm afraid I won't be able to escape even if I'm a primordial spirit. Do you blame me? You're tuning in to the Blissful Bookshelf YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.